Hello, lovelies. How's everybody doing this evening? I, how are my sound levels? Let me know so that I can turn the Twitch stream off for myself and not hear myself on an echo. All good? Hello, Jake. All good? All good? Okay. And hello, everybody else in chat. I think I did greet you all, but just in case. Hello, Memas. Hello, Ruffle. Hello, Madoon. Hello, Galandria. Hello, Robbie and Moomin and Bun. And anybody else who is lurking. So, as my loading screen says, it is approaching the sort of like the 1 year anniversary of my friendship with just bump my camera there, of my friendship with Calvert. And since he made me a citizen of his deed on day one of our friendship, that also means it's approaching my citizen-versary. So he's gone to bed early because we were up till 2 streaming last night and he's very tired. So I get to have all kinds of fun without his supervision. Shh. So let me first of all get you off my loading screen. Da-da-da. And sound is perfect. Excellent. And so for anybody who doesn't watch Calvert's streams, we are on Exodus today. We are over at Thallspring, which is Calvert's Deed, has been Calvert's Deed here on Thallspring for probably a decade or more. So we are here-ish, really quite close by to Easter, but you'll probably, if you've seen either or both of our streams for a while, seen us come by and come through here a lot in the past. We did get up out of the maze. We did not end up killing each other. I did have to get him to hit me at least on 3 different occasions because I did not learn my lesson and I kept taking yellow potions. But we did make it out after 2.5 hours. So that was that. And actually, I'll I've got some stuff to show you from last week's stream as well in a minute. But yes, so we are over on Exodus over at Thallspring, which is Calvert's lovely deed, where I have been probably living here more than I have over at Brambleheim on release for much of the past year, partly avoiding the chores of my own wildlife park. But I've been very, very good and sitting on my hands and not doing things like tidying up the chaos that Calvert leaves all over the place in buildings here. Thankfully, he's a little way off an archaeology binge at the moment, so we don't also have piles of frags everywhere. But this is a rather large, rather lovely deed, and it's got some particularly lovely buildings on it that I am a big fan of. Hello, Taka. How are you doing today? But the Granary, which is this building just here, is one that has been rather neglected. And in the whole time that I've been here, I think the scene that you're about to see inside really hasn't changed. So it's just kind of a little bit of dumping ground of stuff. And ever since day one, I think, when Calvert gave me my tour of Thallspring, he took me into the Granary and he was like, "Oh, I've got plans for this one. We're going to put some pantry cupboards in, you know." But nothing has changed. Nothing's going to change unless somebody does something about it. So I'm going to do something about it. That's my plan. That's my plan. Yeah, you said yesterday, Taka, and I'm really sorry about that. One day at a time seems to be the good way to go. Hopefully a little bit of company will be a good distraction this evening for you. So before I go in there and show you the state of it, it's not in a state. It's just not very well loved. I promised on the last stream, where we finished building the pop-up dye shop on the DRF Impelong site, but I didn't get a chance to decorate it, that I would show you what it looked like once I had just put a bit of stuff in it. So it's not fully decorated, but let me hop over and show you. Here we go. So it's now got all of the lovely banners from the shop that Sid had before, arrayed along the wall. We've got our pillars outside as planned. And we've got a load of empty racks up inside the shop. So there's just a little bit of a snapshot there of what it looked like at the point that I left it. But of course, if you come along to the Delhi Renaissance Festival in Pelong, which is in, my timer's not on this screen, but about 4 weeks. You can see it for yourself, and hopefully Sib will have moved in at some point over that weekend and set up some beautiful die displays for us. How have you not seen it, Bun? I did that the day after the stream. That's what I was doing on Sunday before I packed up and left. So that's how I left it after the stream. It will have been a bit of an empty shell by the end of the stream. We had just finished putting up the ceilings and the chandeliers, I think, but the columns and the decor and stuff was still to come. So that's that one. And while I'm here, that's a what came after the stream. I'm going to show you briefly what came before the stream, before this stream, because inside the granary here, some of this is still there, but I'm not the mayor of this deed, obviously, and I didn't want to spend half of my stream slowly bashing ceilings down. So I took some before pictures of the interior of this, which was sort of 2 floors, so that you can see the state of it before. Most of this is going to be the same, except for this bit that you're seeing sort of on the top left one. It's sort of, we've opened it right out. I've got Calvert to go and take a sledgehammer to his own building and knock some floors out for me. So that's just to give you a little bit of a view of what it looked like yesterday before I made him go and knock a bunch of ceilings out for me today. So with that said, let's go back to this so you can see what I'm doing. Probably because you got your nose in cordage, Bun. You still making cordage? How much are you up to now? So for those of you that didn't catch last weekend's stream, there was a cordage creation party going on at the deli, the DRF site, for the Impelong, and the target was, what, 500,000 favours worth of cordage? Was that right? Many meters. But apparently Bunny's still making cordage, even though they made excellent headway over that weekend. So this is the granary. This is the granary here, and as you can see, I've made Calvert knock out several ceilings. So in those pictures that you were looking at just there, there was a staircase coming up this bit, and all of this was closed in. Now, I'm still sort of like in 2 minds about this little bit here, because I'm quite high up in a wagon at the moment. This overhang of a ceiling is bothering me a little bit, but at the moment what we've got is a U-shaped mezzanine. You know what, I might actually just step off my wagon for a minute, that might help, mightn't it? So we've got a U-shaped mezzanine. I could turn it into an L-shaped mezzanine, but I'm going to build a new staircase here, and there is a route up for wagons by a slope up here. But if I move this wagon out of the way, I can actually give you a better look at what we've got here. So here we go. So this is the granary as it is at the moment, and with the exception of those floors that I got him to take out, this is basically how it's looked for the past year, and I suspect for a while before that as well. We've got a mismatched array of FSBs here, some of which are locked and not by him. Probably have ownership from various people. There was one over here which was just olives, for example. So it's I mean, in fairness, I think I might have put the snowman there. You can probably tell by the way it's renamed. But yeah, so this is this has been the granary. It's kind of just been a bit of a storage space, I think, where giblets and food and things like that end up, but not particularly well organised, not in any kind of matched or coordinated way. One more for the head shed. Yes, Ruffle, would you like it? Tell you what, I'll mail it to you now, just to get it out of my sight. So, you've not counted, Bun, you just wanted to finish the BSBs with the Wimp. Very good. Right, Ruffle, there you go. Snowman head coming to you now, called Ugh. Nearly sent it to Ruggle by mistake. Da-da-dam. You're welcome. There might be more stuffed in the cupboard here, because I did do a Christmas hunt, at least partly on Exodus this year, but evidently that was one that I just needed to get out of my inventory. So yeah, so this is the downstairs of the granary at the moment. which has not really got much of an identity at all. We've got this rather unremarkable looking oven over here, despite the fact that Calvert has a Supreme oven down in his house, his main house on this deed, which he never uses because, like, we tend to spend time at the villa rather than in that house. But this is the one that we cook in, this rather sort of inauspicious little oven in the corner. So my plan for today is to, having made him knock down some ceilings, gonna put a ladder up here, probably put some rope fencing back up here so that I can rearray all of these barrels in a nice accessible from the ground floor sort of a way along these edges. I was in two minds about whether or not to do some nice arches along here, but I have to say I don't like them as much in wood as I would if this were a brick building. I'm going to get rid of all of these FSBs and replace them with a wall of pantries. Get these BSBs out of sight, but not out of the building. And then probably do a little bit of decoration and filling out some of the space, including this nice little area over here, this sort of like kitchenette area, which doesn't look much like a kitchenette at the moment, but I might try and get a kind of country kitchen vibe in it. I was toying with some nesting of furniture earlier and wondering if I could do sort of like kitchen counters in a nice way around here. So assuming I get that far, because we know how ambitious I am sometimes and I am starting 2 hours late, I'm also going to try and just start to tart up this area. And I'm kind of tempted to change the floor here for something a little bit warmer, but we'll see. So then, yeah, the wooden arches ones are not very nice. I mean, the timber ones are okay, but I think that the sort of the barrel racks look nice in stone arches. But also, because this is a big high ceiling, the wood arches, they're not going to go all the way. They're not going to go all the way up to the ceiling. So then they'd be open topped, and I think it might look a little bit weird. So for now, I think I'm just going to have some rope fences, and put all of these many barrel racks and wine racks somewhere where they can be accessed from the ground floor. Because as anybody who has seen Brambleheim will know, that is my favourite way to do buildings that you have to actually work in, and that's to have all of your storage accessible from the ground floor, even if it's spread out across 2. So that is my plan. And then, I mean, out here, I'm not going to touch anything on the outside today, but out here we've got a little grazing area. Over there we've got the vineyard, which we're not touching, but there's a slope up here to get your wagons and your carts up top. And in fairness to Calvert, these barrel racks were much better displayed, except I had to shuffle all of them up so that he could take those floors out. I mean, what the hell is green wine? Random signage lying about, random bits and pieces. Who knows? But that's what I'm going to do today. And I don't really have a solid plan beyond that. I started toying with some things in Deed Planner, but actually when it comes to decoration, Deed Planner's not really quite so well suited to that. I mostly use Deed Planner for the kind of the builds, the bare bones. So that's my plan. And I suppose I'm going to have to move this little collection of Thall tokens from my last archaeology grind. Green wine is white wine. Okay. So I have got my building box retrieved from Delhi, and over here I had started knocking up some FSBs to make the pantries with, because pantries need 4 FSBs each, and an FSB is something like, I don't know, 25 planks and some other bits. So if I unload my stuff here, I think, although I need to sort out those floors and the stairs, I think actually the first thing I want to do is clear some of the crap out of this building. Including, I mean, those are my braziers that I dumped after the DRF, in fairness. So let's pop those in there for now. Where is the sign for the blue wine? Well, maybe he just didn't have a blue sign. Now, the other little bit of prep that I did earlier was I went and cleared out all of the FSBs that I can open. The ones that are locked, I'm just going to push them somewhere and we're going to figure out what to do with them later. I can't remember if Calvert can get into them or not. I think some of them he can and some of them he can't. But all of these should now be empty. So they're going to be ready to make into pantries, including, I think, that one. So there we go. Got a whole bunch of FSBs all nicely emptied out, ready for turning into things, and these two I'm going to have to push out of the building because they're locked, so I can't load them. So let's just drop all of those over here. Maybe he hasn't got access to blue. Well, I mean, he's pretty close to the meridian, so I'm sure he has got access to both. But I have to say, I think Thal only has green grapes on it. But you got to bet that there's some blue grape vineyards close by. So pick those up. These are, I'm going to rearrange when they're there because they have still got stuff in, except for that one I think is empty. Oh, not empty. Not empty. What? What is this tat, Calvert? Right, that can go in the workshop. That's my box, so that's allowed. I suppose all of that stuff can stay because that's all relatively kitcheny and pantry-like. And those bits. What about this one? What have we got in here? Oh, that one is also empty. Excellent. So we'll have that. Weapon racks. Farm tools. So Calvert, when you rewatch this, do tell me, why are your farm tool racks weapon racks? You know what? I'm just gonna take those. I'm just gonna take those. And in fact, I suppose what I might do, use first what's in this. Nothing. Let's pile all of our barrels in a corner, nice and easy. And I don't know if we're going to need those BSBs or not. I feel like there was another one. Oh, it's a cheese drill. Pick up these bits and pieces. Clear a space. Because rakes go in them. Really? Really? Wait. Crack. Oh, yeah, I suppose they probably do. I think, yeah. Fair, and pitchforks, I guess, if you have pitchforks. Yeah. Yeah, take. It feels like you needed a rack and, like, a large chest or something. But as you can see, they're empty, so there's no farm tools in them anyway. So maybe we'll keep them as a nice bit of set dressing. Maybe we won't. But I will need to find another home for this little collection of Thallspring tokens. They can go with the, frankly, hundreds, probably, of Thallspring tokens Calvert's already got. Although I think that those live in a bit of the workshop that I can't get to. So for now, let's put this unnamed BSB of random tat in the workshop, which frankly also needs a bit of tidying up. But I'm not touching that one yet. Calvert converted to Venora, I think we told you. So exciting. He's only been in the game 13 years. Finally found religion. You see over here, in this sneaky little bit here, there you go. Look at all of those Thallspring tokens. They can go with that collection. So maybe I will just drop them here for him to find. Boop. Done. Pitchforks are good weapons. Maybe for a peasant militia. Hello, Wendell. No Libilla here. Although, you know, if it wasn't going to be Venora for Calvert, clearly it was going to be Libilla. Although I think he's probably a little bit intimidated by Libilla. So let's pop those in there. And I don't know if I'm going to need... Did I really only pick up one BSB? I don't know if I'm going to need the spare BSB, but let's just pop it down here just in case. So there's a little bit of stuff cleared out, but I am just going to go and get rid of these things, which I'm pretty sure, yes, those are the locked ones. Let's just push them out this door where I don't generally go and then pretend they don't exist, because that works. But it's got a door out of all 4 sides of this building and windows on almost every wall, so I'm limited in how much stuff I can put, tall stuff, in front of walls, which is why this one here is going to remain the pantry wall. But I've got a little bit of space over in this nook for taller things, like larders and ovens. So that's going to stay as the kitchenette. Pretty sure it's the blue tentacles that convinced him. Maybe. Hello, Ignatius. How you doing? Uh-oh. Right. You can just... Do you know what I do? Oh my god. I didn't even know he's got a milking stool. For all of the cows that he has. No, wait, just that one. And you can't milk that one. Or at least not like that, you can't. You see, we've got this pottery brick out here, which is nice and warm, and I'm kind of tempted to replace those sandstone slabs in there with pottery brick. I might do that, just to sort of designate a zone. No, Ruffle. No. No, Madune, I don't think so. I don't think I've seen Calvert interact with an animal that wasn't one of his mules in the whole time I've known him. I think some of these were even... Yeah, this is like, he didn't make this. I think this was an inherited FSB, so it might be older than the deed. Oh, that's a really loud sound for me. I'm sorry if it's also super loud for you guys. Let's try not to move the well this time. Yeah, there we go. Let's just shuffle that over there. Right. Out of sight, out of mind. Except I can see them out that window, but shh, never mind. So, first things first, I suppose I better do some stairs so I don't have to keep wrapping all the way around the outside.
Oh, you
start with that. This building also desperately needs lighting because Calvert's indoor lighting is very sporadic. Well, I think we've got like a random torch up there. Is there another? Is there another? Or is that it? I think that might be it. So how's everybody's weekend going? Those of you that didn't make it through to the end of our escape room adventure yesterday. That Moomin was asking after we were on the Northern Freedom Isles yesterday, responding to an invitation on Cadence. And where did I put my BSB? Back there somewhere? Right, let's have those back. Responding to an invitation from Mana on Cadence to go and try out the School of Wurm. And it's 4 challenges. He relies on his radiant self-presence to light the way. Also, I think he just doesn't mind squinting into the dark, like for the little that he comes in here and uses this space. So I imagine that this is probably pretty much as he originally built it. Like, I don't think there's ever really been any modifications to this. I might be wrong. It might be that people on Exodus know a little bit more about the changes over time to Thal, because I know it grew and grew and grew over the years. But what do I want? So, well, my bulk storage bin. In fact, I don't really want to work with that from inside the cart. So now here's where it all falls down, and I find that I don't have the appropriate permissions. Looks like I do, and we learnt this lesson the other day, didn't we? So when you're planning your ladders, you're planning as if you're from the floor looking up, which is the opposite way to the way that Deed Planner tells you. So for this, I want a right side ladder. Like that. And I think I want 10 shafts, large and small nails, and maybe 15 planks? I don't know, my memory's not super for this. Let's try. So 10 shafts, let's sort that. some small nails, I think, and 1 or 2 large nails, and some planks. I know, I could just look it up, couldn't I? Have you tried to access stuff that's behind rope fences? What, low rope fences? Can you not? I haven't tried. But maybe we shall, before I go and build them all. Yeah, I mean, in fairness, in my kitchen, I don't tend to have low rope fences, I don't think, in front of anything, so does it prevent you accessing? I know you can cross through them. Yeah, so you can't disembark, and it's the same with curbs as well. That actually really annoys me about curbs, even though they're decorative. Curbs prevent you from disembarking. I will see in a minute if I can go and find a low rope fence to test, and we shall see. To save me building one and then having to bash it down super duper slowly. So it's going to be what, I don't know, 15 or 20 of those maybe. And what was the other thing I needed? Large nails. A couple of those, I think. Right, is that going to be sufficient? We're going to find out. What does it require? Look at that. I had 1 large nails too many. But other than that, bang on. Yeah. Yeah, no, it's a good shout, Bun. Sort of, if I can't have rope fences, does that make me want to have the arches more or less? Because I could have double arches up there. They're just not as nice as the nice rounded ones. But on the other hand, what arches also do is break up your ability to really nicely nest racks of wine barrels. For anybody who's seen my kitchen at Bramblehime, I like to nest them side by side, just 1 barrel along, so they all sit kind of in one another. You can get a lot more of them in a much smaller space, and it just looks like a continuous long rack of them. But we shall see. We shall see. You just found a lolly under your keyboard. What kind of a lolly? Asking for a friend. Are we talking like the flat coin kind that you used to get at the dentist or the doctor's office, not the dentist? Are we talking like drumstick lollies? These days, the only lollies I have are ice lollies, and I imagine you probably didn't find one of those under your keyboard. Right. So, rotate. And rotate. Da-da-da! Right, I can now get back up to the first floor. So, now based on Bun's point, I'm just going to go and do a very, very quick, this will be a nice opportunity to just have a little ride around Thal for anybody who's not seen it before. I'm going to do a quick ride around, see if I can find me a low rope fence to test against. And while I remember, speaking of horses, ergonomic keyboards, we got an email to say that my deli deed is going to expire soon if I don't. Oh, don't mind the secret sheep. Shh. I've got a lot of secret things in the Thal. Or secret sheep. Oh my god, what was I saying? Yes, my deli deed is going to expire soon, and I was tempted to go and throw some more coin into it, but actually, I don't think I have really been to my deli deed and done any breeding there in the past year. It's my horse breeding deed, basically. So I'm kind of tempted to let it go. Oh yes, if anybody would like a Rudolph, there are still 2 Rudolph here, where they were spawned right outside Thal, and I chucked a couple in a pen, and I was like, oh, I should put those there in case anybody wants one, and then I forgot about them. So if anybody would like a Rudolph, you can have one of those too. But I got waylaid once again from my own point, which was I'm going to dismantle my my horse breeding deed on Delhi, which means if there is anybody on Delhi who would like or has use for some pure draft or speed horses that are cared for, they can be rehomed. Like if you want, I don't know, a team of draft horses or something to pull wagons on the DRF site. If you would like some more breeding horses, I thought you might be full up on ratio, Bun. Because I did think of you, but if you've got the ratio for some more horses for your horse breeding program, you are very welcome to them as well. Ruffle, I don't know what your capacity is like on your little deli deed, but if you've got any use for some, there's also some like I think I've got some champion horses there which I will try and rehome. I'll probably bring them over to Exodus, and some hardened horses which I will probably let go of that were part of a breeding project, but I don't think I've got any pure 4-speed hardened ones there because, you know, I'm notoriously crap. That's a high rope fence as well at keeping up with my breeding projects, which is why that deed really has to go. What about in the arena? Maybe the arena's got some. Maybe nowhere in Thal has some. I think the arena's probably all going to be high rope fences as well, though, if I'm honest, because it's designed to stop the punters falling into the fray. Yeah, those are all high. Oh, no, there's a high as well. A big denominator, not a huge ratio make. But Bun, when we visited Grumpy Market and I was like, God, this deed extends a long way, you were like, ratio. Clearly there is still plenty of ratio for us to fill up with sheep and other things. Oh God, Robbie, I know. That's ridiculous. You know what? Calvert's, when I became a citizen, Calvert's deed ratio was infinite or something close to that. What is it now? 162. I think it was actually more like 200 and something. But yeah, there you go. Stick all your sheep on Robbie's Mountain and stick the rest of them over at Bun's. Clearly that's the way. Trying to think where else there might be rope fences here. Oh God, look at the size. You know what? I'm not making it up right. Valray's getting bigger. It is getting bigger. Look at it. Huge. Huge. This is gonna be the real Wormageddon right here. Valray coming and crashing down to Earth. Wurm destroying us all in a wave of cataclysmic fire and Valray mobs. That's how it's going to go. Heard it here first. Troll slaying saviour. I feel like there's a story there. What's the story? Have we got any here? No, we haven't. Apparently Calvert just doesn't do low rope fences. Right, well, if anybody's got a low rope fence somewhere nearby them, go and stick a bit. Is that no? Those are also high. Go and do us a favour. Go and plonk yourself a BSB or a cart on the other side of it and see if it'll let you reach through it. But if not, I will just have to knock one up and risk having to knock it back down if I can't reach past it. Since clearly Calvert only does one size fence. Right, let's park my horse on the grass so that she doesn't slowly starve to death. Whoop. With this one rescued sheep. And let's go back to what we were doing. We need science. And you're busy. Oh, Bun. I want to say, how long is it really going to take me to knock a fence down? But the answer is probably a bit of time. But not so much. Not if it's just the one fence. So let's try it. Earlier rather than later. So low rope fence. What do we need? Ropes and shafts. And is that it? 2 ropes, 2 shafts. Alrighty. Low ropes at pools closed. Are you okay? But are you at your home deed, Ruffle? Before I go build myself a little rope fence, is somebody imminently able to go and check this theory for me? All right. In that case, I'm going to go back to, what shall I do? Let's start with the pantries, and also hopefully the pantries will do something about these hedges butting through. Now, I did, because I had to empty all of those FSBs, which I have been slowly filling with high quality stuff, I did cheat and make one of my pantries already. So let's push it in there. And I made it in maple wood, because I thought that would be a nice warm colour. But now that I've done it, I'm sort of like, should I have gone for a slightly less warm colour? I don't know. I might regret the maple wood. It's really nice in some things, and it tones in nicely with cedar, because cedar is one of those also quite changeable ones. There you go. So it tones in quite nicely with the cedar over there. Also tones quite nicely with linden wood. But the trouble with, I was tempted to do the whole thing in oak, but the trouble with both oak and cedar is they are one of the wood types which are notoriously changeable from one piece of furniture to the next in terms of their colour hues, which means when it comes to sort of nesting fancy furniture and things, there you go. So like there's that cedar wood and that cedar wood, those are the same colour, but that is also cedar wood and it is not. And when I'm coming to do sort of like fancy furniture nesting, I think I'm going to get particularly tripped up if I try and do it in cedar or oak. So as long as you're close enough, you can take things out of the cart on the other side. Well done, Ruffle. You are excellent science. Now, I thought that pantries were a tile wide, but are they actually a little bit more than a tile wide? I'm about to find out. I feel like I thought they were only a tile wide, but I thought they were like exactly a tile wide, because we put one in the villa. We built one in the villa. And I thought we built it in a one tile space. They are almost exactly one tile wide. Excellent. So the other the other thing that's going to be a little bit more challenging for me is because I'm used to building and decorating in brick-built buildings, you get a lot more leeway about how far you can shove stuff into walls in brick buildings, whereas wood buildings, the walls, like the thinnest bit of the wall, which are the plank bits here, are properly thin. So you don't really have much of a buffer zone to hide the bigger backs on items of furnishing. So I think that can go back a little bit further. It's nice that the pantries don't have the overhang on the back that the FSBs do. Although I have to say it's not too much of an overhang. It's only a little bit. But you've got these sort of like this framing at the back on the FSBs. Whereas well, no, maybe it is on the pantry as well. But they seem to be slightly shorter back, so you don't have that trouble as much. But I don't think that's going to manage another big push. So I think it's going to have to be a couple of gentle ones, and that might be as far as we can push it before it starts poking through the wall the other side. Yeah. So, I mean, he doesn't need 12, the equivalent of 12 FSBs, but he's going to get them either way. And frustratingly, I've also just realised that we're going to see the tops of these over those pantry cupboards anyway. Not sure there's much I can do about that. I could stick larders here, but I kind of don't want to. I was thinking that actually it might be quite nice with this little door. I think that larders will almost perfectly flank a door like that. I think, in fact, tell you what, let's have a look. Let's test that theory. Yeah,
Hello.
Look at that. Might not work. You can take from the side, but not the back. Ooh. Okay. Yeah, see? Look at that. I could flank a door with larders and that would be cute. That would be nice. Is that poking through the wall? Yes, that's poking through the wall. This is what I mean about those walls being super thin. So let's just pull that a little bit. It's going to have to become at least 2. And I really should keybind the pull and push gently, if it's possible to keybind them. Because I use them all the time. I do so much nudging. Move. That's true. I could try somewhere else, not here, so that I don't have to bash it right now and just get Calvert to come bash it when he logs in tomorrow. Okay, so what was it? It was going to be 2 ropes, 2 shafts, and then I'm going to need to drop some bulk storage on the other side of it, which I have got in my cart. So if I take the wagon with me, ropes and shafts for science. It'd help if I had my inventory open, wouldn't it? I did also consider introducing some fancy archaeology woods in here, but to be honest, we don't use this building enough, I think, to warrant kitting it out in archaeology woods. I feel like I should make more of archaeology woods in my kitchen back at Brambleheim, though, because I do spend a fair bit of time in that. You'll do. Right. Let's go and find somewhere to build a low rope fence and test the theory. Trying to think if there's anywhere with an open upper floor. Maybe if we test it in one of the cottages, because the cottages are largely unused. Yeah, let's see. These are Bun cared for horses as well. Thanks, Bun. It's not often I see Calvert use a wagon, but he gave me use of the wagon, and I was like, better go find some horses to put on it. And lo and behold, pretty sure that these are, there you go, cared for by Bunlows. Whoa! Let's not walk through the thorns. Well done, Crim. And these ones, I think, are probably cared for by an alt of yours. Wham-a-wham? Is that one of yours? There we go. Perfect candidate right there. Assuming that is a platform we can walk out onto, and yes, it is. So, she says, except I don't actually think I can get a crate up there. Let's go and have a look. Is there anywhere that I can haul up through? No. Outrageous. All right. We'll just have to do it on a ground level. Like, say, here. Rope. Low rope fence. Wham-a-wham. What? Why is wham-a-wham funny? Isn't that what it's called? Wham, 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 wham-a-wham, wham-a-wham. Oh, so it goes when the Witcher nerd makes worm alts on a whim. I see. I see. Right. Okay, there's our low rope fence. And of course I say I'm going to get Calvert to knock this down tomorrow, but what's going to happen is I'm going to forget about it, and then in several months' time, Calvert's going to be like, where did that fence come from? Let's unload that there. Let's go see. Is it going to let me on the opposite tile? It lets me open it. It's letting me take stuff through it. It's looking good. So that's out of bulk storage. We're actually not using it for bulk storage. We're using it for barrel racks, aren't we? And I haven't got a barrel rack here, but if it'll let me reach my vehicle through it, then I reckon we're probably safe. Begs the question, why was it not? Oh, what? Is that the cave troll that's, I remember a cave troll quest, but the name didn't ring a bell for me. Which begs the question, Ruffle, why wasn't it letting you access? Hang on, I've got that open. Why wasn't it letting you access? No, it appears to be letting me do everything through. And if it's letting me do it on one level, it should let me do it on an upper level as well. So, but I tell you what, I am going to, in the granary, build one fence, stick some barrels behind it, and just double check it there. But I just feel a little bit safer checking it there now. Still got Crimvert shenanigans, pumpkins everywhere. I want to say whoops, but it was totally deliberate. So, and a blimey one over there. So you could open but not take from the back. From the back of what? From the back of your vehicle? Because you can't take from far behind any vehicle anyway. So might it have been that? Oh, yes. Yes, I do remember that. I see. I had not clocked it as a Witcher reference. Wurm's a bit finicky about how far behind a cart you can reach things anyway, but maybe that was just a bit of an interaction with it being a vehicle. But the principle seems to be sound in terms of your ability to take stuff. So I tell you what, let's do the rope fences first and just test that theory. Because we can do some primping of the stuff upstairs. I ought to clear this stuff off. I might just throw it off the side and stick it in the wagon. Then if I can line up these... Oh my god, there's another one up there! That's where the grapes live, apparently. See, now if this is the winemaking floor, I suppose there's an argument for an FSB living up there. But... does it actually have grapes in? Oh, yes, it does, and there you go. He certainly has access to blue grapes. Maybe I'll let it stay for now. The downside of having this as a single staircase, which I think is necessary to open out this space because the double one was just a pain in the arse, is I can't put rope fences over this final bit, and I really wish we had like a half tile width fence for this exact reason, for barriers for these ones. But what can you do? So ropes. Let's do this again and just test it at a level. The other thing I haven't tested as well, because in my buildings I always have floors, and this has obviously got this channel through the middle, which is not a raised floor but is paved. And the other thing I want to check is whether your ability to reach stuff on upper floors is at all affected by those extra 3 dirts. I don't think it will be, but I feel like I should check it just the same. Whammashisha swoosh. I hope you've got an alt by that name as well, Bun. I'll be sorely disappointed if you don't, but I know that you were looking for more alt names, so if you haven't, maybe now's the time. Right. Let's go see if this principle also works at height. What? Oh, bloody fences. I actually really dislike building rope fences at height because their profile is really low as well. So it's not too bad, but as you can see here, where you've got the floor, most other fences will give you something visible above the floor. On a rope fence, all you get is this teeny tiny little bit here if you're not building over an edge like that, but it makes it really quite hard to select because what it's then giving me is the tile border a lot of the time instead of that incomplete fence, and it's just unnecessarily finicky. One of the ways you can get around it is instead of doing that right-click build, you can just add the tile border to your crafting window and do it all from the crafting window. But it's rope fences in particular that seem to be finicky like that, and because they are fences, you do have to be directly in front of the tile, but not so close that your foot's in the way when you finish it. There you go, maybe that should be the game of tonight, Bun. Let's give Bun names for his alt list. Ruffle's got a few alts where I've been like, Ruffle, do you have one of these? If not, you should have one of these. And lo, another alt has appeared. Yours is the other way around, isn't it, Bun? Yennefer, your Yennefer, isn't your Yennefer with an E? Because original Yennefer's with an I? Yeah. I bet most Witcher names are probably taken. Were taken a while ago. Oh, look, and I am indeed standing in the way of it. Right. So let's try lining one of these up here. The other thing is, when I where I have, do I want it through the rope or do I want it just behind? Well, let's try. So let's try one just through, because the way I do this on my other deeds is I also tend to have my things just peeping over the edge so that it doesn't give me the flaws in the way all the time. Let's just line that one up there, but pull it back a little bit so it's not peeping through, and test out both. Is that peeping through? No, not quite. So can we access it? Yes, we can. Magic. Magic. Da-da-dum. Perfect. All right. So we can have it whether it is through the phone, through the ropes or not. Gonna nudge those two back a little bit. Maybe. You've got an alt naming. Yeah, I know you have, Bun. The I care for Bun too was funny, but once you start adding extra numbers on, I mean. You know what? You know what? The placement can wait. Let's finish one thing at a time. Right, so more rope fences. So yeah, the other way to do it is like this, where you add the border to it and then you don't have to do the fiddly bit of trying to be able to mouse over the thing, but instead you've got the finicky bit of going scrolling through this great big menu, trying to find wherever, there we go, where the rope fences are. Wait, she says, and then doesn't select the rope fence after all. Those are the rest of you that have alts. Do you have alt naming schemes? Like, are they named after literary characters or characters from games you like? Are they variations on your main toon's name? I come across all sorts with people's alts, and I'm always a little bit interested whether they're kind of random or whatever. I have an alt naming scheme, but it wouldn't be apparent to anybody who doesn't know me in real life in a fairly nerdy context. But a lot of people's alt naming schemes are quite apparent once you've met one or two of them. You have alt naming phases, Ruffle. Yes. Like all the things that rhyme with Ruffle, for example. Fair bun. You don't have to remember them all. That's what spreadsheets are for, though. I've got a beautiful spreadsheet to keep track of all of my alts. But because I have a alt email scheme, I never struggle to remember their emails, at least. Because thank fuck for the Gmail trick. There's no other way that I would have managed to keep up with the number of alts that I have for care slots. Wendell. 4 ex-wives. Okay, that's the second one. And we do this one. Oh, whatever. I have actually had several deeds on Exodus. I've just never lived at any of them. And I don't think I've actually built substantially at any of them. I've had several sort of, I might like to do something with this space, kind of prospective deed drops on Exodus over the years. But I don't think I ever actually got as far as starting development on any of them. How much have I got left? Yes, I've got enough left. Oh, crap, I didn't add it to my window. And you know what? My bloody wagon's in the way. Can I do it that way? No, because I didn't do it first. Oh, can I select it? Can I? Yeah. Winner. So, like, I've had a deed here. I've had a deed here. I nearly dropped a deed on this canal once, because I do like this canal heading south from Isert. I've had a deed here. In the old sandhill area, but only briefly, to take the sandhill down. Is that all the ones? And actually, I have currently got a deed just outside Thal here for my maybe pop-up mini event deed. So that's what, 4 deeds on Exodus that I've had and not yet done anything with. But hopefully this little mini event quiz along type on stream events only deed might break the trend, break the pattern. You never know. Right, let's do that. Exo is pretty lovely. I've got some frustrations with Exodus, but I've got some frustrations with every server in fairness. Like, Exodus's waterways are, like, on the one hand, some of them are really lovely, and like that north-south canal leading out of Isert is, it's not even that it's particularly unusual in terms of design, but there just isn't another one like it. And I remember the first time sailing through that, it reminding me, it's like, for anybody who hasn't seen it, it's got high bridges up and over, and then it's got walkways along the side of it, which sometimes dip down to the water level and then back up. And so I don't know, it reminds me of some of the kind of the red brick industrial cities we have in the UK with big rivers running through them. And it just it made me want to go and build sort of like a kind of red brick, like ex-industrial sort of a town there, and I'd never quite got round to it. But a lot of Exodus's waterways are messy and very shallow, and you get beached all over the place in them. And Exodus also has some notoriously wonky roads and highways. It is not the easiest to navigate, and I know Bun will attest to that, having done a lot of treasure hunting over here. It's not particularly fast to navigate your way across vast swathes of Exodus. But having said that, Exodus has got some really beautiful sights, and one of the things that I really like about it is the very kind of rugged terrain. Like, Exodus is this strange mix of really, really terraformed spaces where deeds once stood, and in many cases where deeds still do stand, like really kind of aggressively terraformed blocky spaces, and also really quite kind of wild looking sort of no, I don't want to say untouched, because they're not untouched, but Exodus feels more wild in a lot of places than most of the other small servers do, and I like that about it. And it's just this strange mix of the two, of like really, really super terraformed and really kind of wild and lovely. But yeah, I find Exodus to be a very friendly server for the most part. I mean, every server has sort of like the odd character or two, but yeah, like whenever we go out and about on Exodus, it's always nice to kind of see people in local, talk to them as we go. Right, so that's my rope fences. I could go, let's go placing and organising these at least a little bit. Let's just, how many of these can I carry? How many of them are empty? This is how we find out, because if they're full of wine, I'm not, yeah. Let's go and line ourselves up a bunch of these. And then I'm going to crack on with my pantries downstairs. So are these ones full? Am I carrying empty ones? Mostly. Oh, no, those are empty ones too. Right, we're all good. And I did threaten to throw these down off the top, didn't I? But maybe they can stay there for now, because I'm not going to have to see them. That random torch lamp can go, though. Yeah, I know you said it's a pain in the ass to do treasure hunts on. I mean, it's got some good bridges and waterways, but there are some spans in Exodus that you want to be able to cross, but nobody's built a bridge there or a canal there. So there are some parts of Exodus where you just have to go round at the moment, um, which does make it trickier for things like treasure hunts. Um, but I'm fond of Exodus. I've always been fond of Exodus. Um, but as you can tell, I have not managed to ever put down a deed that I had a good excuse to actually build something and keep on Exodus. So the only way I have ended up being a citizen on Exodus for any period of time is because when Calvert and I struck up a friendship, he was like, "Come and join my deed." I was like, well, "Okay." I think it was ostensibly so I could brand a horse here, but obviously we hit it off, and we've had a firm friendship ever since. So actually, I've ended up spending a lot of time here, and I am very, very fond of the server and some of its many residents. Now, the problem I'm going to have is if I line it up right on the edge, is that going to be sufficient for it to not be poking through the ropes? No. So I need to not line it up directly on the edge. The trick is to figure out the right placement for it, and then once you've got one, the rest are easy to do. And we also don't want it poking through the walls because, as I mentioned, those walls are super thin. So how's that? How's that going to be? That looks like it's going to be all right. If we drop those and just, because I'm lazy, whoop, drop down off there like that. Okay, so that's going to have to move this way because that is going to be poking out the side of the building. But can I still open it there? Yes, I can. Yeah, I can see that Delhi is a lot easier to traverse, especially in a cart. But that's actually the thing that I like least about Delhi in a way. Like, Delhi's got some nice spots, but Delhi is probably one of my least explored servers. Partly because I like to do things by boat, and Delhi is not really very easily explored by boat because it's just got so much landmass. But also, like, I'm sure that with a map, I could comfortably follow highways all across Delhi. But my Delhi deed is somewhere out on this coast over here, and it's, in fairness, it's not very well connected up this bit of coast. But I know when I've tried to go cross country on horseback, for example, searching for GM spawns at Christmas or something, I find Delhi quite hard to navigate even by road. But maybe that's lack of familiarity. Whereas there are some other ones. I think perhaps also because Delhi's quite hilly in places, or at least in these places. Whereas on release, most of the places where you're exploring by road are quite open. You can see the terrain around you, and I do a lot of my navigating by terrain rather than by community maps. Whereas Delhi, I really struggle to see much of the terrain around me and find recognizable kind of shapes of terrain and things to navigate by. You've got a place on Exodus and on Harmony, have you, Wendell? Yeah, yes, Bun does an amount at a time. Moomin, what is a recommendation of the number of deeds you actually have and enjoy at the same time? You have 3. Well, yeah, you see, that's the thing. I think 2 or 3, depending on how you play Wurm. I think 2 or 3 is probably the most that anybody can actively regularly enjoy, and I would struggle with 3 if one of them wasn't a market. But I mean, I've got, it's been a while since I counted, so hang on. So I've got 3 deeds on release, and one of them is beautiful, but I spend very little time there in practice because I think in a way it's fulfilling a niche which is filled by Exodus for me. So if I didn't have this space here on Exodus, maybe I would spend more time there. I don't know. But that's the Gloaming Sanctum. That's my little island that's perfectly placed for the sunrises and the sunsets. It's great in theory. It's just in practice, I don't have a reason to spend time there often enough. And so I don't. And that's my problem with deeds in general. So then where I've got deeds on other servers, like my Delhi deed, my Independence deed, my Pristine deeds, those are all deeds to hold creatures that I have collected and to make better use of my care slots, because as if I did not have enough creatures cared for on release. For anybody who doesn't know, your care slots is per server, not per toon. So when I started collecting, for example, holy creatures, the first one was my Delhi one, which was my horse breeding deed, because no way did I have the ratio for that at Brambleheim. Then on Pristine was originally my champs deed. Now, to be honest, it doesn't have so much in the way of champs, but it has got a bunch of holy creatures. Like I've got an array of conditioned deer and unicorns there. I used to breed hellies there, but I don't anymore. I think my champ dog's there. And then on Independence, I've got my holy sheep and holy cows and holy seals and some of my holy pheasants. I had more on my celebration deed, but they all died because somebody dropped a deed right outside it while I was away, and they ended up in someone's local, so they starved, which was pretty heartbreaking. But so that's my problem. Like the deeds that I have that I keep for any period of time tend to be ones that have a purpose other than like just being beautiful. But even those ones, as we said with the Delhi deed, like it's got a purpose, but even then it's actually probably not worth me keeping it up because I'm just not doing horse breeding really anymore. But on release, I like Little Venice gets as much use as Brambleheim does because it has an ongoing purpose and a reason for me to visit, to do stuff with it, to enjoy it as a space. And if I get it right and manage to stick with it, the third one that hopefully will have a purpose is the one that I'm sort of planning on Exodus. Whether or not that's the right space for it, the one that I've got marked out now, I don't know. But the idea for that one was going to be I've long wanted to liked the idea of getting involved in community events, but I just don't have the stamina and the attention span to do the amount of work that is required to do those in a big way for things like Impelongs. Like so much love for the people who do, but I know me and I would burn out so fast trying to do that. But it occurred to me that now I'm streaming, I could do things like have like little one-off events, and by events I literally mean like, you know, come over and do this thing for me with an hour. We're gonna go set up catapults, and Jake built me a lovely trebuchet today, aimed at Calvert's arena for that set. You know, I could quite comfortably do ad hoc pop-up events, like everybody come and meet me at this portal in an hour, and we're gonna go, I don't know, doing some like seeing who can lob stuff the furthest or like hit the target or whatever, and there's going to be a prize at the end of it. That I can manage. But the kind of months ahead planning that something like Impelongs or even a quiz along, I kept talking about maybe doing some kind of a quiz along. The amount of planning and sort of energy that those would take is, I think, if I'm honest, beyond me. So this third one has a good reason to be around and for me to keep it around, and therefore I might keep it. Calvert has 2 and struggled when he went up to 3. So he's got Thallspring, which is his main deed, and then he's got the villa, which is like his sort of his holiday home, if you like. And we spend a lot of time at both of those. But for anybody who's been watching Calvert streams for a while, you'll know that he had Calvert's Peak, for example, which he enjoyed building and was a beautiful big build, but didn't really have a reason to spend time there because he already had the villa and Thall, and it didn't offer anything kind of new. And I think that tends to be the sort of the threshold for people on how many deeds is too many. Do they have a reason for you to keep going back to them once you've built them, yes or no? But other people's mileage may vary, and I'd be interested to hear if other people have got sort of lots more deeds than that, and they actively use all of them. I know a lot of people will have deeds that they build and then will maintain for sentimentality or because they put a lot of time and effort into it just because it looks nice, particularly if they're kind of community-oriented spaces. Hang on, before I do that, let me just go and catch up on all of that chat while I was waffling. 15, Jake. Is that 15 deeds? And how many of those are in regular use? If so? Ruffle, how many deeds are you up to now? Mimas, you're struggling with the 3 you have and thinking of dropping the 4th. Where's your 4th one, Mimas? Have you been to Little Venice? Has who been to Little Venice, Wendell? Ignatius. You've got just the one, but it keeps getting bigger. Yeah, and that's what my main deed is like, and that's what Thall's like as well. I think Thall and Brambleheim are probably about the same size. Brambleheim has just gone over being a 10 silver deed with a trader discount. And there are people who have got much, much bigger ones than that. Ruffle, you're up to 6. Yeah, Wendell, so Little Venice is my market. So Little Venice is just up the waterway from Brambleheim, and those are my 2 main deeds, effectively. Brambleheim is my home deed, and it is where the big wildlife park with my 400 plus GM spawns all live. And Little Venice is my market deed, because I used to have a market on Brambleheim, but there were perms issues with doing it that way. So I built Little Venice and moved my market over there. So that one's mine. Ruffle keeps getting excited and dropping more. You know what? And so do I, and that's my problem as well. Like, I get excited by deeds and want to, like, I come up with new ideas for deeds all the time. And in particular, I'm very vulnerable to getting inspired by a particularly nice bit of landscape and being like, oh, I could build something nice there. It's just that I've learned that building something nice is not a good enough reason to keep me going back to a deed. And I really don't like having deeds that I feel like I have to keep the upkeep up on out of guilt because I invested time and resources into them. I don't like deeds that make me feel bad about still having them as deeds. So I've learned that one the hard way. So Mima's the most place. Yeah. You do anything is on your island M&M Isle. Jake, so yes, 15. 8 of those, Jake, 8 of those you use all the time. So is that because some of them are set aside for things like breeding projects? Or are they like hunting lodges on different servers? How does that work? Hello, Sam. You're rocking a solid 0 deeds. Are you a member of any deed, Sam? Are you like a villager in somebody else's deed? Or are you trying to live kind of, wild and deedless? Always interested by people who manage to do that long term. Yeah, Ruffle, a lot of yours are convenient travel for rifts and holy sites. And portals have made kind of deeds like that a little bit more accessible. Like, just having a place where your branded animals on that server live, for example, and you can put your head down for a night. Yeah, I mean, your 4th one is to hold some land. 12 deeds, Jake. Okay. But even so, if you reckon, like, I don't know, as many of 8 of those are in regular use, I'd still be interested to hear sort of like what regular use, like what that is for you. For me, the closest thing I've got to not regular use, but a reason to keep them has been breeding deeds. But again, I only visit those maybe once every couple of months. Sometimes it's longer. Depends what kind of a worming phase I'm in. Cheese and crackers. Think they will ever fully merge NFI and SFI, or you're asking the wrong person there. I don't know. I think the reasons not to, in terms of things like economy, get less and less compelling with time. But I know that there's a lot of people that are strongly opposed to it, and I don't know. I don't know how much that opposition would actually dissuade them if they thought that it made sense to do it. It's a shame that we can't just move more freely between them. From my perspective, partly because of the bugginess of stuff, right? Like, portals should be safe to use, but there have been enough tricksy glitches with portals that if I want to travel to the other cluster, I still drop all of my stuff before I go. I don't really trust. Still, maybe that's unfair, but I still don't quite trust going through with all my stuff, which just makes it a bit more of a faff. I would like to be able to transfer more freely. And obviously it would affect the economy of the Northern Freedom Isles more than anything, which is why it tends to be a lot of Northern Freedom Isles invested players who are most opposed to the merge. But I like that we can still now travel a little bit more freely, that we can come to one another's events and things. That is nice. Yeah, actually, the big thing will be the effect of the things that don't currently exist on the Northern Freedom Isles, as Bun says, which suddenly get introduced to that economy, like PMK stuff, for example. It would kind of exhaust me having. Oh, wait, I put that one too far over, didn't I? Hang on. It would kind of exhaust me in a way having having access to the whole of the Northern Freedom Isles and potentially being able to bring stuff back through it, because I already exhaust myself trying to keep track of and collect animals from all of the Impelongs and events just on the Southern Freedom Isles without throwing the Northern Freedom Isles into the mix. Maybe it would teach me some more restraint. I have been getting a little bit better at being more restrained about that in this past year, though. Oh my god, look at that mist. Look at that haze. Right, speed up, Crim. Guidance portal's still super glitchy. Yeah. In fairness, I think it was the guidance one in particular that was being a bit glitchy, and so perhaps I've unfairly ascribed that same anxiety to the cross cluster portals, but I prefer just to be on the safe side. It is less faff somehow to offload all of my stuff onto an alt at the portal than it is to open out all of my inventory and take screenshots of everything that I have got on me before I cross through, and then checking them all again when I get back for my peace of mind. So that's the route that I've gone with it. All right, I'm just going to stop waffling for a minute and actually drink something while I place these. Or I'm going to spend an entire stream placing barrel racks and not doing anything else. But I started, so I'm going to finish. Even though I did that sound effect myself, I'm kind of regretting it, you know, because every time I hear it, I'm like, ah. There you go, get a little live one. Oh, look at that. Beautiful. Maybe if I shuffle this up like that.
Whoops.
I will put the other
Nobody
one
saw
of
that,
those
right?
there for now. Whoops. Did not mean to do that. Oh no! That was a preemptive whoops, Ignatius. A few seconds later, and it would have been almost prophetic. Yeah, I know that leaving guidance with some of the the puzzle boxes and things was a little bit buggy for people. God, they're all back from the wall as well. Calvert. Right. Let's not fall down the hole. Look at that. Oh, oh. Now. There's a... There we go. I can still select that one. Perfect. Look at it. So good. And what I didn't check, but I meant to, was do I have any issues accessing it when I'm not on a built floor? No, I do not. Magic. Whoops. Oh, how am I still carrying some? Oh, because I fell down. And then went back up and then didn't put it down after all? What an honor. Oh, and I am carrying the one that actually does have wine in it. No wonder I'm so slow. Maybe I did put it down, but I only put down one and I was carrying two. Anyway, there we go. Right, on to pantries. Now, I'm not promising that those are going to stay there exactly like that, but the principle works at least. So that's good. That's good. Right, pantries. So I've already got one in place. I need to build two more. I've got some unfinished ones, some unfinished FSBs in here, which I think should make me up to my total number. So I'm going to need... Have I miscalculated? No, I've got 3 in there, and I think I've got 5 there, which is my 8. Super. So let's just finish these off, which I think only need planks. Then I can place my pantries, and then I can move on to the rest. Planks, planks, planks. Gimme, gimme planks. Now the next question is, do I make all of the pantries in the same wood for matchy-matchiness, or do I try and do some tonal variations in slightly different woods? And am I going to like that? Or is it going to make me twitch? See, I've done that a bit at the Brambleheim kitchen. And it doesn't make me twitch. I actually quite like it. So there are certain woods, it tends to be the warmer woods, because things like willow and fir are really very variable between whether they look nice or whether they look kind of naff, depending on what you're building them in. But applewood, linden, cedar, and to a degree, applewood, cedar, linden, maple, and lemon are all the same sort of kind of tonal variations of like a golden colour wood, which means that where you encounter a thing where, for example, where you're building in cedar wood and then you build an item of furnishing that doesn't match all of the other cedar wood, instead you can match that cedar wood by often building in maple or linden instead, if you're somebody who's trying to go matchy-matchy. But actually in the Brambleheim kitchen, what I was trying to go for was just a little bit of tonal depth. So I have deliberately got some slightly different woods, but that don't look like they don't fit together. And so I'm sort of tempted to do different ones here, but the trouble is, because they're going to be sat next to one another side by side, it might just be a little bit weird if they don't match. Whereas I suppose it kind of wants to look like a wall of cupboards, so maybe they just all have to be maple wood and I just have to live with it. Right, while I'm doing that, let me just catch up on track. Bun, nothing bad happened with portals. So I've never had anything bad happen with same cluster portals. And I've never had anything bad that I've noticed with cross-cluster portals, but I know 2 or 3 people who think that they have, and sometimes it's quite hard to prove, like an item that was in your inventory before that then you just can't find after. I know Calvert had one of those, but Calvert wasn't the only one. So it's enough to make me a little bit anxious. I was also miffed about the playtime, but the playtime mess up, I think, was to do with the guidance portal. Yeah, I have no trouble portaling on SFI, and I certainly don't dump my inventory when I'm portaling around within my own cluster. It's only when I'm crossing clusters, like to guidance or to SFI, that I'm tempted to just drop everything in my inventory on an alt first, just in case. Jake, you bounce around building stuff, and some of your deeds are for breeding. So with the ones that you build, though, Jake, once you've actually built the deed, do you still find that you go back and visit them, or do you just kind of enjoy them existing in the world as places that you can cross by? Like, do you make them like sort of architectural marvels and then are content for them to remain like that, or do you actually go back and have a reason to spend time at them? Sam, you're a nomad. You build ships on Harmony. Ah, you know what? I love a nomad. I think that's great. Like, I was thinking, when I was trying to think of things that I could do with Crim on stream, I keep getting really enamoured by the idea of like houseboat adventures. Obviously, you can't actually have a houseboat in Wurm, but what you can have is essentially the means to unload yourself a little, you know, all of the stuff that you would need and take your home on the road from a boat. So I kind of like the idea of going sort of sailing around and then just picking a place to, unload myself, an oven or a forge or whatever I need to do some stuff. The only thing that you can't do without a shack is obviously have a bed to put your head down in. But do you know what? It's actually not going to matter what I finish them off in, is it? Because if I'm going to do them all maple in the end anyway, they can just be whatever. Yeah, I like the idea of kind of houseboat adventures. I almost never remember to use my sleep bonus outside of impelongs or serious, like, intentional kind of grind towards a particular skill threshold for something. So the not having a place to put my head wouldn't bother me. But I have also considered that it might be quite nice to, um, on a sort of a stream somewhat like that as an idea, to rock up and build myself nice little kind of beach hut houses places. Just do like a little mini design a thing for this space and maybe decorate it. And then rather than blow it up at the end, I suppose it depends where it is, kind of. What I don't want to do is I don't want to go and drop houses in spaces that people might then want to go and put a nice deed down on, because that would just be annoying for people. But I thought it might be quite nice to go and make myself pretty little beach houses on places that don't look like I'm right in somebody's yard or would be in somebody's space, and then just rename the house before I leave to something like PM Crimson Earth, if you would like this house, and just transfer it over to the first person that asks. I don't know in practice if that would work, but I quite like the idea of it because it kind of it scratches that wanting to build and design things itch without without triggering the I've got another deed that I need to keep up with, or I've just wasted a load of materials on something I'm now gonna like blow up or feel guilty about kind of issue. Uh, but I like that you're living the hermit life, the nomad life. I think that's nice. Pretty good. Mimas, what can you dye? Oh, the pantries. Yeah, you probably can. I imagine it takes quite a lot of dye. But yeah, it does mean that, if we wanted to go for something. The trouble is, I don't like Thallspring is all very kind of natural colours, other than those sort of, bright red and green signs. Most of Thallspring is kind of like natural wood colours. So I wouldn't want to dye them anything kind of particularly radical, but it means you could tweak the colour a bit, I guess. Robbie, you've had no problems going back and forth to Cadence. That's good to know. But you store the specials just to see, yeah. That's the thing. That's the thing, right? Part of the problem is I'm somebody who carries like all of my tools all the time, which makes it both a pain in the arse to put my stuff down, but also means if something goes wrong with my stuff, literally all of my best stuff is on me most of the time. But also it means I've got so much stuff on me, unless I'm screening it, I might not notice if I've lost something or misplaced something for a good while. And I hate going back through my logs trying to figure out where I last left something or interacted with something. Like, I've got one of every tool and 2 or 3 of some tools on me pretty much at all times, between my tool belt, between my tool belt and my tools inventory. Yeah. And some of these I only really use sort of at impelongs or on those kind of binges, so I wouldn't notice for possibly months, for example, if any of my, I don't know, pottery items disappeared or anything. But it would then really, really bug me if I had misplaced something. And I am the sort of person that would feel the need to go back through all of their logs trying to figure out where the hell I did it. So I think I'm partly saving myself that nagging anxiety as much as anything. So there's those. I mean, I'm wearing my Drake at the moment, which was made almost entirely from public slaying, offcuts, if you like. So took a while, but it is possible. But I also carry a load of crap that, frankly, I shouldn't like. I carry my almanac at all times, and my diopter range pole, and I'm always carrying one archaeology journal, not normally more than one. My staff, which the last time I used I nearly burnt down Delhi. My meditation rug, not that I've been doing meditation for a while, but I missed it when I didn't have it. So I end up carrying so much crap. This is why I don't go fast anywhere. Not to mention my miscellaneous category, which is 23 kilos at the moment. Right, let's just move that one out of the way. Yeah, my miscellaneous one, which is where, my spyglass, my diamond staff and things, but, like, I've got some random sauce seeds here, I've got more ink pots than I need, candles, because when I need to stick a candle in something, it frustrates me if I have to go and find or make one, so I like having a couple in my pockets, just in case. Got my pendulums, a couple of reed pens, an ink brush for all of that cartography that I don't do. And there you go, 6 kilos of runes, and that's actually pretty good for me. For a while I was carrying almost 10 kilos of runes, for just in case. I've got a bunch of just in case runes. This is why I'm so slow. And then I've got sort of, for like treasure I pick up out on treasure hunts, or just like bits and pieces that I womble up in the wild, and usually, apparently I've gotten rid of it. I don't know when I got rid of it. I used to have a Georgina category, and Georgina is my market manager on Little Venice. So when I would get things like bloods from slayings, or pick up Valray items or whatever, I would just chuck them in the Georgina category, and then periodically go and drop items off to her to put up for sale in Little Venice. So bun. Crim's going to set up a Wurm Airbnb app. Well, no, not so much Airbnb, but more like free house. Who would like it? Crim designs a quirky little house, decorates it and fills it, and then finds somebody who is houseless or homeless or just starting out on that server and is like, would you like a house? Have a house. And they don't have to deed it or anything. Like, I just transfer ownership, and then they can enjoy it. They can live the nomad life off deed. They could drop a deed down over it. They could do whatever they like once they're the owner of the house. Keep it like a beach house. Worm B&B. Yes, like a boat, Ruffle. So easy to misplace a boat, especially if you've got as many pockets as I do. I lose boats in my pockets all the time. Ruffle, no, Bun. Your main inventory's worth more than anything else you've got. Yeah, I bet it is, because you've probably got some super special stuff in there. Certainly much more than me. Have GMs ever spawned any cute special fog spiders? Oh. Yes. I've never seen them spawn fog spiders outside of Impelong arenas, but I have seen them spawn them in Impelong arenas. But as with other spiders, you can't tame them or charm them or bring them home in any way, alas. If you are somebody who owns or has an owning share, if you like, on an Impelong deed, you could possibly kite fog spiders somewhere and keep them temporarily as pets, but you'd have no way to care for them. But yeah, I have seen fog spiders spawned in arenas. I've never seen named ones spawned for like Christmas spawns or anything, but that doesn't mean that they haven't. Your miscellaneous is 18 kilos, but what did I say my one was? 23. Yes, Ruffle did find her boat eventually. She swore that it was on Pristine, and it should have been on Pristine, except it turned out it was on Delhi. As you do. We got there in the end. Ooh, what do you mean I'm too far away? Fibs and lies. There we go. She did indeed have a moxidant. Right, one left, or is that it? That's it. Right, that's it. Time to build some pantries. For pantries, I think I need some large nails. So let's put some large nails in there so they're not taking up inventory space. Like, I don't know, let's have like 12. And then I think it is just 2 or 3 wooden beams per pantry and a handful of planks. So let's have 6 of those and as many planks as I can carry. Am I going to regret that when I need the FSBs? No, It'll be fine, it'll be fine. I just need to not add the final plank, so I can make sure that they're the right wood type. Now, what's it going to be? Wooden beam and nails, maybe? Large pantry cupboard, there we go. And let's not accidentally make more than we need, so we want 2 of them. Oh. Except I failed to make the second, so let's try that again. I tell you what is nice about the pantry cupboards is because of their height, you can nest hanging lamps nicely into them. So they get like little lanterns hanging off the edges. That's what I did at Brambleheim, and I think that's what I will do here. Not that I considered or brought lamps, but if there aren't any kicking around, I'm sure I could make some in the longer term. Right, okay, so it is indeed 3 wooden beams each and some planks. Those are already there. Right, let's do that first. Pop that one back up. Then we're going to add 5 planks. I'm actually carrying way, way more planks than I need, aren't I? So let's drop 40. Because we're going to save the last plank as the last mat. Magic! Do the rest of you use categories in your inventory? Has anybody else got like a miscellaneous category? How many of you are people who also carry one of every tool, as opposed to only carrying your main ones and then pick your others up as and when you need them? My problem is I'm so forgetful, and also, frankly, lazy. I don't like to have to go and dig out a tool or remember where the hell I put it. So I carry them all just so that I've always got the things that I need. My miscellaneous one often has things like a lump of tar in it and a bit of kindling, and I'm kind of amazed that it doesn't at the moment. Some pegs, always need pegs. Yeah, see, kindling and tar actually missing from my miscellaneous category right now. You don't want to go fetch your tools so they're always on you? Yeah, same. Same memers. That is basically me too. Right, let's do the same with this one. So 2 beams on that. And then the planks. You're very fond of folders in your inventory. Oh my god, no! Myra! Myra does what Calvert did. Oh, I hate that. I hate that. Like opening up my inventory and having to scroll down or sort it all in order to... Oh no, can't do that. Can't be doing that. My Wurm life got so much better when I discovered these categories. Sam, you've got tools, money, healing and food. Ruffle, you have archaeology, tools and healing. You have a whole category for archaeology. So what goes in it other than your archaeology journal? You do. As in you go in the category? Or you have a whole category for it? Scroll for days, yes, bun. God, no. I hope that Ruffle isn't walking around with frags in her inventory at all times, because those things are heavy. Your archaeology tools and paper. See, those sit in my miscellaneous one for me. I did have, for ages, like a satchel in here that was just kind of archaeology and cartography supplies. But then I got sick of carrying quite so many things, which is why it's now just become those and everything else. So, like extra papers and pens and all sorts of crap just ended up getting shoved in here. Because my problem is my tendency to use categories to hide stuff, but it doesn't actually reduce the number of items in my inventory, so then I couldn't carry as much stuff as I wanted, which is why I tend to then dump things in, like, I carry extra weight for the sake of being able to cluster stuff together in things like satchels and pet bowls. Right, so now we're on to the adding FSBs. bit of the pantry making process. God, some of these are even damaged. I feel like I should just... Right, that was a me-made. Those are all me-made ones. Okay, that is a Calvert made one at least. Maybe I've been spending too much time with Nirav. Before I go and wipe something out of Wurm history, I kind of feel like I should just check the maker signatures on these. Moomin, you have alternative weapons, healing, and one for temporary stuff. See, I don't carry alternative weapons. And unlike Calvert, I also don't carry alternative pants or armour or anything like that. I think the only other armour I've got is I've got some botany gloves, maybe. Were they in there? Yeah, I've got my sort of botany and pottery, my gardening gloves. Does anybody else rename their gear? Just for funsies. Like, most of mine... most of mine are named, like my very fancy bob hat, and my noodle arms, and my Drake Heart Defender, and what have we got? My fanciest pants. They are my fanciest pants, though. Hang on, let me get the other FSBs. And all of my main tools are also... How did I end up with 2 FSBs too many? Did I miscount? I think I miscounted. Oh well. Oh well. Right. Shh. Let's just check the signatures on these. So these are Calvert ones. That one does not have a maker signature. Interesting. And those are all Calvert ones, except for that one. Who knows what that one is? Well, let's. Let's drop the 2 cedar ones and just work with the rest. So, not that one. Already done that one. There we go. You got backpacks and your miscellaneous ones. You carry your market keys, like, at all times? Really? Oh god, yeah, the contracts ones as well. Like, so my backpack is... Oh, actually, I handed off all of my skins to an alt, so that it was one less thing that I had to transfer. Usually I've got 3 satchels in here. So I've got all my recipes, like random recipes and letters, which I really need to just put in books and offload somewhere. Actually, it's not really letters anymore because my letters all live in books back home, but I guess it's temporary storage for like letters and notes. But normally I've also got 2 satchels in here with my skins because I have so many skins they don't all fit in one. Too low QL. Yeah, maybe. Does it really not show any signature at all? Though, surely it would... I didn't know that was a thing. I assumed it would just show you, like, a letter, or it give you a bit of text to say that, you know, it's got a signature, but you can't make anything out about it. Aha. There we go, then. Well, too late. I've added that one to it now, I think, anyway, unless it was one of the cedarwood ones. Speaking of which, I should put that in repair. Oh yes, I was asking whether people name their stuff. Does anybody name their stuff? And something QL is apparently 20, yeah. It's not just my armour, like, my tools are mostly named as well, I think. Like, it's probably easier to look at them in there, isn't it? My hot diggity, log chomper, or hoarder, berry pilferer, timber thwacker. You can tell I like alliteration. My frag finder, my fancy planker, giblet gatherer. I don't know when I started naming all my stuff, but the trouble with naming your stuff is then when you go to an implong and you want it imped up, you've either got to remember what you named it before, or you've got to just like take a screenie of what they were all called before you go and rename them and drop them in a thing somewhere. Okay, so the last plank is going to be maple wood. Maple wood. Where's my building box? There it is. And then we can go and put these up on the wall, and that will be our wall of pantries. Planks, planks, planks. 2 of those. Oh. You've got a few named, but not all the stuff. So the ones that you've named, Bun, are they your best ones, like your most special ones? Or do they tend to be ones that were like gifts or prizes from something? Your crowbar's called Whack-a-Whack. I like that. Oh, I can pick up a pantry cupboard. Look at that. That's a really odd weight. 86.50. And yet, the weight of this unfinished one, 135.30. Weird. That's Wodgick for you. Oh, the failure rate on this. Da-da-dum. 86.50. That's such an odd weight. Right. Pantry's done. I'm going to be frustrated by still being able to see those hedges over the top, I know. I'm also, I think, going to end up wanting to move this one up slightly because I don't really want gaps between them. Yeah, I suppose skinned ones are a good candidate if you've got something skinned that feels like a kind of weapon or tool that deserves a name. Yes, that's the front. So what we want is to be able to see that back seam if possible. So let's line that up like that, like that. Is that going to cut it? Is that going to be too far into the wall? Let's go find out. Yeah, look at that. Is that, oh no, wait, no, yes. So you can just about see it through there, so I need to shovel it over just a little bit. And what about on the back end? Oh, that's not going to be a good example, is it? Because I can't actually see. Oh well. So I'm going to pull this over ever so slightly. Like that. And then we're going to line this one up to match. And overlap them slightly, because at the very least, although Z fighting is a pain, you don't tend to get it so much on these kinds of overlaps. So we want it to be just kind of like that. Yeah. Yeah. And now this one can move up accordingly. Although, oh, now I need to go and check whether that can be seen through the back wall. Oh, look at that. I think I got it just right. So hello, Lilybug. Now, if you're trying to do something very carefully, not poking through the wall, the trick is generally to have it ever so slightly in front rather than ever so slightly behind. Otherwise, you'll end up, if you're doing things in a row like this, migrating each of them like a fraction further back, and you'll find that some end up sticking through the wall. Perfect! Look at that. Wall of pantries. And actually, after all that, you know what? I can't see the hedges over the top. I might be able to from a vehicle. No, even with the vehicle. Magic. Magic. Perfect. Calvert will be so intimidated. What, by his wall of pantries? He'll be fine. The trouble is, okay, so here's another one for you guys. How do you organise your food in Wurm, your raw ingredients? Because as you could tell from some of the ways those FSBs were named, Calvert organised his by having different FSBs for different types of food. So, like, there's a nuts and grains one over there, and there was one that was just for olives, and then there was one for meat, and there was one for vegetables. And I understand the urge to do things that way because it appeals to me to have far smaller lists to scroll through. Whereas if you have something of everything in there, you end up kind of sorting and scrolling a lot. The downside is that's a much slower way for you to organize stuff into when you're farming or foraging. It's not so bad when you're farming because you tend to be farming like 2 or 3 items at a time. But for example, if you're unloading foraged stuff into there, you've then got to go through, because there's no way to sort it in your inventory into like nuts and grains. So you end up doing an awful lot of like either picking through, highlighting, or dragging in between lots of different kind of FSBs to sort it that way, which is the reason that I don't generally. So Ruffle, you have one main pantry split by types and then separate pantries for 100 QL. Do you have to ask how we sort? I mean, I do it by QL, but my point is I do it by QL and I set up Calvert's in such a way that he did it by QL because he didn't. He only did it by type. But now that we've got all of these FSBs, I'm wondering if actually maybe I should do it as kind of like a hybrid between his system and mine so that we separate out different kinds of things. On the plus side, if you're just separating out, for example, meat and veg, that's an easier one. But it's when you're trying to break the veg down into like veg and fruits and nuts and grains and things, if you haven't got them all labelled, like where do your spices go? Do your spices and herbs all go separately? Where do olives go? Do olives go with your fruits because they are technically a fruit? Do they go with your vegetables? Do they go somewhere else? You end up like, then I get sort of mired in all of the where does this specific thing fit? Where do your faux items go, like your Wargsbane, for example? Like, because you wouldn't have your flowers separately, you'd have your flowers with your teas section, maybe, but your Wargsbane doesn't go in with your teas. So tricky. Memers, meat and fish in one, fruits and veggies, nuts and shrooms, grains and herbs and spices. Yeah, and then your FSBs for your giblets. Moomin, you have one just for cheese. One just for fish. Yeah. Oh. Ruffles, so you have one for meat, veg, baking, and one for forage. Wait, as in you have an FSB for forage? But what about your foraged veg? And what goes in your baking? Is it just things like dough and sugar? Do the sugar beets that make the sugar go in there? Do the grains that make the doughs go in there? What goes in the baking one? So all veg goes in veg, and then everything else goes in the forage one? Oh. Well, I'm going to have to come up with a system for Calvert's. And my system is usually to sort things into 5 pools of quality. Because I have 100 QL separated out. We haven't actually been doing that at Calvert's. I've been, much as it pains me, throwing the 100 QL stuff in his 90 plus. But it wasn't sorted by QL at all before I started living over here. It's just because I end up bringing loads of butchered goods home, and I could not bring myself to just throw them in a generic meat FSB, which is why I started ordering his stuff by quality. But I feel like maybe I need to suck it up and go for some kind of a hybrid system here. Figure out what that is. Maybe we separate out like meat, fish and dairy in one, fruits and veg in another, and then like nuts, herbs, spices and miscellaneous in a third. Maybe. Your low QL stuff goes in separate bins for feeding animals. I tend to store anything below 50 QL I have in what I dub as my trash quality, which is not really trash quality, but that just means that's for animal feed. I never cook with that stuff. And then I have 50 to 70, 70 to 90, 90 plus. Well, like 50 to 69, 70 to 89, 90 plus, and then I have usually just one FSB by itself for 100 QL stuff. I know, bun. Sacrilege. But the reason that I have that breakdown is because I've got high hot food cooking, so quality 90 stuff and quality 100 stuff actually does make a difference for me, and I will always use the highest quality I've got when I'm baking for people or things. So even though I break it down into those qualities in practice, I only use quality 70 and above, the 70 and above category, when I don't have any of that particular item in my 90s yet. And the 50s and 60s stuff is again only for certain items where I don't have the skill high enough to have those in my higher categories yet. But in practice, what happens is I open my 50 to 60 quality one and just scoop shitloads of fruit or whatever out of it to feed to my chickens. Anything under 30 goes to your animals, memers. Yeah, anything under 50 goes to mine, basically. Right, so now we've got those in place, we're going to, because you do need BSBs anywhere that you've got FSBs, we're going to do some nesting with these, but actually I don't want this oakenwood one because that's too dark and that's going to show. So was that one an empty one? Yes, it was. So the first thing I'm going to do is swap that one out for this one. Yes, because those are both cedar, and I think cedar will... Is cedar going to tone in okay with this? Yeah, you know what? It's going to be fine. It's going to be fine. Any chance you can eat out of our trash, Sam? Well, Sam, you know what? If you would like some good quality foods, I'm sure anybody. I can't remember, Sam. Did you say you were on Northern Freedom Isles or Southern Freedom Isles? But I'm sure there are a lot of people that would set you up with some good quality stuff. And if you're on the Southern Freedom Isles, like, I will happily come and drop you a couple of crates of nice quality, like fruit, veg, herbs, nuts, and everything, so that you can go cooking with good quality stuff. You would be more than welcome. Got more food than I know what to do with for the most part. Right, so we're just going to, slower than I would like, bulk transfer all of this stuff. I'm clicking confirm too fast is my problem. Here we go. Right, so now our bulks are both in cedarwood. That one can go. In fact, I'll go and drop that in the workshop because I'm not going to need that one here. We've got meat for years and years, mostly horse. You're on the Northern Freedom Isles, Sam. I'm sure if you did a shout out, there would be somebody kind enough to give you sort of like a working amount of good veg. But yeah, I mean, I call it trash QL. I call it trash QL. It's not trash QL at all. It's just because I'm capable of making foods at sort of 95 to 100 quality on the regular, and I have a lot of animals to feed. I didn't in practice have any use for anything below 50 because I can harvest most things at sort of 60 to 80. But in practice, because I can cook at much higher quality than I can harvest, when I was setting up my kitchen, I went and bought quality 99 ingredients in bulk from bulk sellers. I bought a lot of mine from Joe the Bard, but from some other people as well. And if your cooking skill is good enough, you actually don't need the 100 quality ingredients, because when I cook something, its quality increases. So I've just got lots of quality 99 ingredients, which means the stuff that I forage and botanize only really ever gets fed to my animals anyway. So there are several ways that you can kind of hide BSBs a little bit so they don't look quite so weird in this, but one of the ways is, for example, to try and nest them under your FSBs. Now, it works a little bit better under ones this size than it does under pantries, because pantries are a lower profile, but I'm going to see if I can do it here. So one of the tricks is to do it so that the box bit is not visible, doesn't break up the sight lines, but you can still see the grain sacks out the front, which makes the BSB perfectly selectable, but kind of hides it. Now, the problem with this might be, because these are not stone walls, that's going to be poking back through the wall. So I'm not going to be able to do that here. God damn it. Yeah, look at that. Now, is there going to be any other furniture that's deeper in here that I can put that under? I mean, I could also bring my pantries forward a little bit, but I kind of don't want to. They're so nicely and neatly lined up there. The other way that I could do it, which would be cheating, would be to find something to put out here that would obscure the fact that they're poking out of the wall. You got a lot of mystery meat from the days before they classified it. Yeah. As Bun says, you know, once you get past, once you have higher QL readily available, then the lower quality stuff you just don't have use for in the same way. It's not as useful to you. But it's pretty hard to compare there. Like, I've been playing for 12 years. And because I quite enjoy the cooking system in Wurm, although I have my frustrations with it, which I know I've vented at before, like, I got my hot food cooking quite high. It then means that because I am capable of making like nice 100 quality or 90 plus quality food gifts for people, I like to do that when I can. And also when I'm cooking for myself, if I'm cooking affinity foods or anything like that, I want it to be as high quality as possible. Which means that I just don't have a use for the lower stuff, except for example, when grinding more skills. But I'm not really a skill grinder. Like, I'm hanging on to loads of lower quality fruit, for example, because at some point I need to work on my beverages. And the way that I used to do that would be like fruit presses. But these days, if I wanted to grind beverages, to be honest, I should be doing it with like roasting coffee beans or something. So now all of my low quality fruit just gets like tipped into my pet bowls to feed my chickens instead. Feeding the pigs for you, Ruffle. Ruffle lives off pizzas from Crim and Robbie. Yeah. You must be out of pizza from us by now. It's been a while since either of us have sent you a pizza, surely. Mind you, having said that, I think I'm still eating my way through a gigantic quality 99 pizza that Evening sent to me 2 Christmases ago, despite the fact that I can also make good pizza. It's just taking me so long to work my way through it. You're frugal. So I've got 2 or 3 very high quality pizzas that have been lasting me for years. Just those pizzas, so I never really need to cook for myself. Right, what am I going to do about these grain sacks? Okay, so hang on. There are other ways that I might be able to do this. If, for example, I were to build out the decoration here a bit, I wonder if that will allow me to then pull them out a bit further. I'm going to like that with that gap. Possibly not. What if we do it into this corner? Oh, I moved too far away. Oh, it's in my inventory. That's fine. That's fine. Why is it damaged, Calvert? How is it damaged? So if we do a little bit of bulk decorating around here, what other bits and pieces have we got? Don't really want to put the barrel racks there. How does he not have a crate in here for anything? See, the only foodstuffs that I don't keep in FSBs are fish, because some fish are bloody massive. and they take up loads of space in an FSB. With a pantry wall, though, that's not so much of a problem, but on my home deed, I've got some large crates that I use for large fish because they're just better size economy. I feel like I want honey brown cow milk. I like how this is a spirits test, but in it, honey and brown cow milk. Because of course. Right, let's actually, I don't want both of those, but I have a big one and a little one. Let's not be climbing. How about like that? Is that going to be enough to hide that in? Not so much. Not so much, but what I could maybe do is just have a corner tucking out of there instead of out of the pantry. And is that going to bother me as much? Let's see. You just make fillets. Fillets for butchering. Yeah, big fish are good. Are good for a butchering grind if you're the sort of person who grinds. Now, can we see that outside? No, we cannot. Good. But I don't like, because I'm finicky, being able to see these little bits either side. So I'm just going to shuffle this about a little bit. And this, my friends, this is why my skills are nowhere near as good as this is partly why my skills are nowhere near as good as they should be for the amount of time, the amount of hours I have spent in this game. That's because I spend a great deal of my time placing and pushing and pulling things, gaining no skill whatsoever. Is it going to bother me that the barrel is nested into the thing? I don't know. Kind of feel like I want another thing in that space, though. Is that going to bother me? Maybe. We picked up some cheese drills and things, didn't we? Where are those? Cheese drill. Grindstone. I feel like there was some other stuff kicking about, though. Did I not pick it up? Or were they ons? We got some bits over there. Mortar and pestle. Another random barrel there. I'll allow it. You watch these streams, you talk to all these people because you try to understand how players can't just be standing around grinding skill or bulk. And you're still baffled, bun. Because this is much more interesting to me than that, basically. Could put another one in there, but I don't think I want to. How about we just tuck another little one of those there? I just kind of like having a little bit of visual interest, really. Oh, we got 2 cheese drills. Why have we got 2 cheese drills? Never mind. Will a cheese drill fit up on there? Let's find out. Yes, it will. I still kind of want something in that little gap just there. I don't know what I could put in there. Will a cheese drill fit on a small barrel? No, it will not. What could go in this space? Sanity. What's that? Too busy looking for lost ships. Yeah. I know what would fill that gap. Actually having something in that bulk storage bin that was going to fill it out. God, look at this. What? See, and this is what happens when you're not able to label your bulk storage bins, because this was quality 70 plus, and yet we've got some random tat in here. Still doesn't explain what I'm going to do with this one, though, so let's just shuffle this one over for now. and see if, since I've used up this corner anyway, I can find some way to also incorporate this. I'm not going to like that, am I? How you all doing over there? What time are we on? Well, midnight. I didn't get to sleep till 4 a.m. this morning because we finished streaming at like, what, 2 o'clock last night? Close to. Yeah, no, don't like that. And it takes me a little while to wind down after the stream, so I got to sleep about 4, and I had to have a little nap this afternoon. I had to have a little nap because I was very, very snoozy. How about if we put those on a corner? Is that also? And yeah, we're going to get Zed fighting there that I'm not going to like. Okay, but actually, you know what I can do? There's a slope behind this, so actually this wall right here is the one place that I can afford for these to poke through the walls. So I'm going to go back and do what my original plan was and have those just visible like that. And it's not going to be poking through anywhere on the other side. Problem solved. Problem solved. How about that? I think that looks pretty good. Except for this gap here, but if I put more stuff in this, then when this gets its fuller visual, it's probably going to throw everything else off. But never mind, we'll cross that bridge another day. Now, in this corner, I kind of we need somewhere for the little barrels to go, and I kind of feel like they might go quite nicely under here. So let's go and pick up a barrel rack and see. Now, we could put them alongside the window, but we could also, can we line them up just under the stairs without butting through it? Where would that be? Like there-ish. Good night, Moomin. Good night, Madoon. Sneezing. I was going to say sneezing time. Snoozing time. Snoozing time indeed. Bedtime indeed. Oh, that's going to be poking through the wall. It's not. Is it poking through the stairs? It is slightly. Let's just shuffle those up. Right. Check that it is not also peeping through the wall, which it is not, because these things are important to me. We don't have things peeping through the wall. We've also got, I mean, is this full of water? No, it's not. Let's just treat it as decorative for now. Now, having shuffled all of these over, I am still going to have to put some kind of a water source by the kitchen area, but problem for another Crim. Can I fit one of those all the way over here, or am I actually going to want it in the kitchen after all? I think I want planter racks along this bit here, because this little bit of space here is next to useless, because you need your thoroughfare through this door and through this one. And you could have something like maybe like a bar table here, but I don't really have a good reason to have a bar table. But what I could have quite nicely here, I think, is some planter racks. And I'm kind of tempted to nest trellises into the planter racks so you get a little bit more greenery behind them. I think that might be quite nice. And also you can still then see like bits through the window, through the planter racks and the trellises, whereas I don't really want to put anything here that's going to like flatly obscure the light coming through. So, do you know, I don't think I've noticed this before, but do all oil barrels have this plug in a really different colour? I swear I've never noticed them with this little, like, bright colour plug-in behind them before, but maybe I've just never looked. What if we had that, like, there? We got the plug in the top as well is also brightly coloured. Could we then fit another barrel rack there? Not quite. That's going to be annoying. What about if I moved it over? I think it's going to be slightly too tight to fit. I think there's another barrel rack upstairs that I can fetch a little one for this experiment. There we go. I've never actually seen inside your main deed bun. Is it, are you and Myra the kind of people that sort of just drop things in utility spaces like Calvert? Are you the kind of people who place and line stuff up? Maybe not quite as anally as this. Do either of you spend time placing things when you could be grinding? Or is that just anathema to you? Oh, maybe I can. Maybe I can. Ooh. Now I can move. You try and keep your workspace tidy. Yeah, but you don't live alone. Okay, still not poking through. Not sure, but that can stay like that for now. Right, planter racks. Am I even going to get to the kitchen bit tonight? Who knows? So the notion was to have these like either like that, or I wonder if I shuffle it along ever so slightly, is it going to be possible to line this up with this window pane here? Is that going to be better? You redid your smith area. Yeah, see, you're a fan of the mezzanine too. Now, what if I try and line it up slightly too wide? But is it still going to look better? Oh. Oh. Those doors opening and closing are going to drive me nuts. Oh, you know what? I think I do kind of like it lined up, even though it's a little bit chunky. I can forgive the gap this side for the sake of not breaking up, like adding an extra off-center beam down the middle of that wide window. Yeah, I can live with that, although that's going to need to move ever so slightly. Can I do it without buggering up the way it's lined up? Yeah. Yes, you can. Your house is neatly done. I like the idea that a neatly done house, sort of. Oh, that's the bear raising the settlement alarm. Like that it's neat, but has a working kitchen. You can have a neat kitchen that is also a working kitchen. Kind of tempted to pinch one of Calvert's trellises rather than knocking one up just to try this. He'll forgive me. Now, my next theory was, what if you had a trellis just behind your planter racks. Could you make that look good? Or are those extra things going to mess up the windows? The lines of the windows, they might a little bit. What am I trying to do? I want to line it up, I guess. Like that over the window slat. Oh, you know what? I like that. Look at that. Gets you a little bit of extra green behind your greenery, but you can still peek through the gap. I like that principle. Decently neat, your kitchen, not like mine. Your deed got live streamed again, Robbie, in Portuguese. And with unfortunate graphics settings. Oh no. Which deed? Which of your deeds, Robbie? You do that, Ruffle. What? Put trellises behind planter racks? Tell you what, let's secure these as we go as well. Yeah, I like that. The other thing that I do, yeah, with the trellises, I've never done that before, but I like it. I like it. It occurred to me the other day that it might be a nice thing to do, and I like it. What I do tend to do, though, is I tend to nest empty shelves over planter racks so that I can add visual interest stuff in between. And in fact, I'm going to do that next. But first, I'm going to make a second planter rack and a second trellis so that I can take this further along. Then I'm going to put some empty shelves over them. But I thought of something else. What was the something else? Oh, yes. So let's secure any of this stuff that can be secured. Not that it actually really matters, but I just kind of feel like it's force of habit. So I try and do it when I remember it. And obviously it's not going to prevent Calvert from doing anything with any of this. So we've got a cedarwood empty shelf there. Your main deed. I think he was scared to go to the top. Maybe he didn't know that the top one existed. Or that it was reachable. Because until you actually go up there, you wouldn't necessarily know that there's an accessible route up to the top one. Don't think I've ever been to your deed on stream, Robbie. I know I've been past it a couple of times. Right, so that's a cedarwood rack. See, but this is what I mean again. So we've got maplewood here and cedarwood, and although they are different, tonally they don't particularly look out of place together. So I like this little collection of wood types that are different but work together. Now, I am probably going to want an empty shelf over here later, but for now, I'm going to pinch this one. I'm also going to need to find somewhere to put that, but that's a later problem. I've seen your courtyard, Bun, I think. Well, I think. But yeah, I've never actually been in any of your main buildings. I've only ever really been to your marketplace and up to where your sort of your deed token and your mailboxes are. Haven't really explored the rest of your deed at all. Now, an empty shelf. Please. So what we're going to do here is we're going to nest an empty shelf in the exact same wood type under the planter rack, like this. If you've got a rare one, you want to nest it just in front like this so that it makes the whole thing look rare. But if it's not rare, then frankly, it doesn't matter. So what I'm going to try and do is nest it in such a way that as much of this greened out stuff as possible is visible, because what you're looking at here, for anybody that doesn't know, when you try and nest one thing over another, the bits that you're seeing that are showing in the dark green are the bits that are selectable. So this is no good to me. I want a shelf that I can place stuff on. But that is fairly good because I've got an awful lot of green space showing in that highlight where I will be able to place stuff. So once you do it like that, it's almost invisible. But there should now be a lot of placeable surfaces where I can put extra stuff for like visual interest. There was a mortar and pestle here somewhere, for example. Right, let's have that, which is not necessarily going to be the thing that lives on here long term, but just to kind of show off the principle of the thing. Have I got anything? there might be some stuff in the workshop that I can go and purloin. So then, for example, you can sort of put things on shelves in and amongst your planter racks, like, except not on the edge because that's going to be a cannot reach space. Let's pop it in the middle. How about that one? Like that. And that allows you to add in a load of things and stuff in and amongst your planters, basically, to have more densely decorated shelves, which just makes them look a little bit nicer and more unusual. I'm just going to go and have a nosy in the workshop, and maybe also upstairs, and just see if I can find some bits of like decorative tat to scatter around on those shelves. But courtyard's 5 tiles from your forge and your house. I know, but I don't like to be nosy, so I've not gone, sticking my nose in. Assuming I'm even thinking of the right place when we talk about your courtyard. I mean, I assume that is where your token is. Let's have those two. What else have we got up here? Let's have some of these. Oh, another plant. Oh, it's camellia wood though. That's no good to me. Torch lamps. Tell you what, let's take that one, because unless I find some better lamps, I'm going to want to put some lighting up somewhere, and I'm already carrying one around in my inventory. We got any other decorative tat? Up here we got some more barrels. Has that one got anything in it? Why has it got yo-yos in it, Calvert? Calvert of tomorrow. Why do you have a barrel full of yo-yos in your workshop? It's now going to be in your granary. Wash water. Honestly. Nothing on those shelves, nothing on those. Right, okay. That's some bits and tat. Yeah, token in the middle. Yeah, so I've been to your courtyard, I just haven't gone nosing beyond that point. I feel compelled to go and watch that streamer's bit of visiting your deed though, Robbie. Did you get a sense from yeah, you know what, we could have some flower pots inside, that would be nice. Did you get a sense from watching his, albeit in Portuguese, if he was, or they, or she, was somebody who was based on release, or were they just like exploring and visiting? See, and this is where the rest of his planter racks live. Well, I don't want to mess with that one because that's actually quite nicely laid out. Might pinch that bucket, mind. I feel like there were also some plant pots or something just outside the back door somewhere. It holds some secrets. You made a heart shape with the paving. That's nice. Yes, there are indeed some pottery flower pots. Let's have those. And let's do a little peek upstairs in case there was anything up there. No idea. You're right, FK working. Fair. Fair. Was it anything other than the signs? Aha! Knew there was some stuff on this table. Right, the fruit press and another measuring jug. I'll have those. More deco tat than I need, but it's always nice to have more. I kind of feel like we need some recipe books in here as well. But I'm not, for once, carrying some spare books on me, so maybe that can wait. Probably don't actually need some sort of corner material here, but never mind, I can go there for now anyway. Right, so start with the biggest things is my recommendation. If you're trying to fill out shelves, start with the biggest things and work your way down to smaller things. Like, for example, can we fit a pie dish on here, or is it going to tell me that it's unreachable? Yes, we can. How about, we got a pottery jar. Now, I'm going to struggle to put something here without moving this out, but I think empty shelves are one of the things that keep their items on them when you try and replace them. So let's find out. So when you get that, you cannot reach this item to place a thing here, which tends to happen on the leftmost side of shelves, or on one particular side of a shelf. It's usually because they're nested into something like a wall. So you will then let you access that space if you pull it out and replace it. It can be a bit of a pain. Have I put that the right way around or not? Let's find out. Just need to get a nice big placeable area again, like that. Yeah, but actually a jar's going to be too big to put in that space anyway. Okay, let's have that back. So maybe a jar will fit on there instead. Yes, but I don't like it there. Never mind. Can go on the floor. Then. I think he had an alliance tab. Well, yeah, so that suggests that he's, I mean, if not full-time living on release, does at least have a deed on release, or is part of a deed on release. Let's have one of the measuring jugs. Those are not in super shape, but they're not going to pop anytime soon. Don't actually think I need something up on that side. I try not to get too symmetrical when I'm doing decoration because it starts to look unnatural. Just want that a little bit. It'll do. Further forward. She says then trying to put things in all of the gaps. Do I like that? Don't know, that's a bit weird. Not sure about that. This is the other way that I end up. Like, I just end up wasting time trying things in other things and seeing how stuff looks. See, that kind of reminds me of like the whole pitcher and bowl type thing, and that I think I do like, so that can stay. And then we've got some beer steins, which are quite small. So maybe we just have like one of those like that, and I could do with some small things which are not kitchenables to go in some of these gaps, but I think those would have to be added later. That'll do. That's quite nice. Will do for now. So, what did I say I was going to make? Another planter rack, another trellis, another empty shelf, cedar wood, and what's the trellis in? Maple wood. We might as well match. So, what does one need for a trellis? What kind is that one? Grape. Let's do a different one. Ivy, I think, is the dark one. But I feel like hops is a similar colour to grape. Well, I'm going to take a punt, and if it's not, I'll use a hops one elsewhere. That's assuming I've got any hops seedlings, actually, which I might not. Hops seedlings. No. But, you know what? I probably have foraged some up at some point to drop in Calvert's BSB. So let's have a look, see. Hops, there we go, hop seedlings. Oh, I forgot that I had flower pots as well. So actually, let's have a flower pot there and put something in it. Let's have some orange ones. And because things are always better if you nest a few of them together, let's have orange, white. in yellow. Right, here you go. Here's another one for anybody who's frustrated by how sparse flower pots look. Like everything else, you can just nest them on top of one another. Let's plant those. Plant those. My flowers did not survive. Rude. My gardening's not that terrible, is it? No, 55.95. It's not brilliant. I think that was just bad luck, though. I like how out like half the windows you can see bloody the Thallspring written across the sand there. The ego. So, gonna plant that one in there again. You better survive this time. Good. There we go. Right. So we got our orange ones. Gonna nest the yellow ones directly over the top. And then we're going to nest the white ones also directly over the top. And then, because at the moment they're all lined up in the same orientation, you get this weird kind of flowers in flowers thing. So if you just rotate a couple of them slightly, that was the orange one. And if I rotate say the white or the yellow in the opposite direction, it just separates them out a little bit. So if you do it like that with 2 or 3, and you rotate one in one direction, one in the other, and then they won't be all like sat in one another, and you just get a nice, really kind of busy flower pot. You can do it with all the same colour as well. I just quite like having the multicolours in there. Right, back to what I was doing, hops trellises. So, hops trellis, what did we say? Seedling, shaft, small nails. Super. Shafts, small nails. What did I say I wanted to make the trellis in? Maple wood. Pretty sure it was maple wood. Can't actually remember now how many shafts it needed. Oh, I've already got some. So, hop seedlings and a shaft for a hops trellis. Yes. Yes, yes, yes. Ba-ba. Small nails. Maybe I am going to have to do the kitchenette as its own separate stream. Do the main bit of the pantry and then just leave the kitchenette as for a future one. Do this one next time. Oh, I don't have quite enough shafts. At the end of this stream, if I remember, I'm going to open up my skills tab and we can see how much skill I have not gotten in the 3 or 4 hours that I've been here tinking away at stuff. Just to make Bun cry. Think of what I could have been doing with all that time. And finish it off in maple. Does it not frustrate you? Like, all of this time that I'm just sort of like pottering around and not doing stuff? Do you really? Well, maybe this is a skill that we need to develop in you then, Bun. Teach you the art of letting go. You could even sing yourself the song with it. Just come and spend a day pottering and decorating with me, not grinding anything at all. Now's when I find out that the hops trellis is in fact totally different colour and won't blend at all. Nope, it is slightly darker, but I think that's going to still be a really nice tonal match. So good. Magic. Now I just need a cedar planter rack and a cedar empty shelf. I think those are going to require wooden beams, but let's find out. Whoops. Planter rack does indeed require beams, planks, and large nails. And what about an empty shelf? Beams, planks, and large nails. Look at that. So how am I still carrying a load of large nails that I put in this pet bowl? Yes. Beams. Beams, beams, beams. Give me some beams. And then planks. Can't remember what the item to start creating it was. Large nails and something, presumably. There we go. Planter rack. If you have to sing the song, you can go. You don't have to sing the song. It's just I know that sometimes you like to. I was just trying to accommodate your whims. Right, planks. There we go. Now's when we find out that Calvert has precisely one planter anywhere at all, and there are no spares. I'm sure there's spares. There'll probably be some spares somewhere. See? You love it. You could sing Baby Shark instead if you prefer. Whoops. Right, so that's my planter rack. Then we're just going to do the same and make an empty shelf. Why am I trying to place that? What are you doing, Crim? Empty shelf decoration. Oh, I haven't drunk anything in ages. Let's drink something. Oh, I forgot I had fizzy pigtails. Be right back. For no reason at all. I return. And I apologise for the faces that I'm about to pull, and possibly for the noises that I'm about to make. But it's coming up on 1 AM and I need some sugar to keep me going, because I'm very sleep deprived. Abomination of a movie, rip-off from The Lion King and the worst cash grab I've ever seen. Okay, but The Lion King is just a rip-off of Hamlet, so come on.
Uh-oh. My grasshopper brain hopped again. What was I saying?
I regret nothing. Wow. Well, that woke me up. Oh, Christ. Why do I do this to myself? It's fine. It's fine. You've not seen The Lion King, Ruffle. Frozen. He's saying Frozen is a rip-off of The Lion King. I have seen The Lion King. I think I saw The Lion King when it came out in the cinema, and I've also seen the stage version of it. Right, what was I making? All right, empty shelf, empty shelf. Here we go. Whew. Sour fizzy sweets. Yum, 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 yum. God, I'm carrying a load of crap around, aren't I? Never mind. Why am I still carrying ropes? God, that must be from the rope fences right at the beginning of the stream. Well done, me. You saw the musical in London. Nice. Yeah, well, I know Moira's a fan of musicals. Is that the only time that you've been to the UK, Bun, or have you been here a few times? We were talking the other day weren't we, about I've been to Norway once. Where are you from, Samwise? If you're still there, when you're not, when you're not in Wurm, I mean. I know where Bun and Ruffle and Robbie are all from. I don't know if we've got anybody else lurking in chat. Moomin, are you still there? Although, Moomin, are you from Germany? Did I imagine that? I feel like that was a conversation we had before. I do have the memory of a goldfish sometimes, though, so, take anything I say with a pinch of salt. Never been to the UK besides that. Did you just go to London, or did you also travel a bit when you were here? Oh, Moomin went to bed. Well, sensible Moomin. Sensible indeed. Yes, of course. Moomin did say goodnight. Right, is that now all my stuff? I think that's all my stuff. And of course, I've just gone and nested my beautiful things here, forgetting that I was literally about to put a planter rack right there. But that's okay. You know what? I'm going to move these just over here and do the exact same thing again in this corner instead. So let me just do that. Close that because we're done with that for now. Select all three. Place. So 1, 2, 3. And incidentally, if you're placing them all at once, you can do that, select multiple, place them all, and then you don't even have to try and carefully nest them over one another. You can just drop them all in the exact same place. The downside of that is it can then be a little bit harder to find the ones to rotate, but not too hard. There we go. That's when you saw Miss Saigon when you came over. Yeah. So plant a rack first. And because we've lined that one up beautifully with the window, hopefully all I need to do is line this one up with that one. Like so. I do, however, want a planter to put in it. Has this got more than one in? No. Of course not. Have any of these got more than one in? Oh, Lion King was a letdown for you. That's a shame. Yeah, Miss Saigon is fantastic. Les Miserables, if you ever get a chance to see that on the West End. Highly recommend it. Incredible show. Oh, damn it. I don't have permissions in this building. Calvert. I'm going to have to make myself a planter. Say it ain't so. Oh, no. Surely. Hang on. I have got permissions in the workshop. And I think there was a planter rack in the workshop, right? Let's go and pinch one out of that one instead. How well does that translate to Norwegian, Bun? I'm assuming that you listen to it in your native language rather than in English. Because I know on the 10th anniversary edition of Les Mis, sort of like in the live show and on the DVD, they had Valjeans from like countries all around the world sort of coming and doing, I don't know, singing in their native language. I thought it was really, really interesting to hear how it translates into different languages, and some it seems to translate really fluidly, at least in terms of the kind of, I suppose, the kind of audio aesthetics. I've no idea how well it actually translates in terms of language. So they did it in Norwegian. Wait, what do you mean the new Norwegian? Tell me about this. I know nothing. So what is the new Norwegian? Yeah, there we go. We got some planters. Look at the state of them. Oh my God. They're falling apart. Let's take one that isn't going to fall apart immediately. Not sure how to explain it. Fair. But it was weird, was it? You've got 2 official versions of Norwegian. Is that something to do with regional dialects, or sort of, I don't know, I'm always fascinated by this kind of stuff, because we, I mean, English is a constant bastardization and evolution and things, but we don't have sort of like any kind of official or unofficial version of English. Okay. Right, there we go. Now, I'm tempted, actually, to turn this around, because at the moment, this top one, like, the 2 are always offset, and they're offset in the same way, and I kind of want them to be offset in the opposite way. So now, which way are they offset? I want the other way, don't I? I want it like that. Just, again, for a little bit of visual variation. Like that. Like that. That's better. Huh. So the new Norwegian is sort of, kind of, like a creation and amalgamation of like what regional variations of Old Norwegian that encompass like local dialect or something like that, but into kind of like a unified national language. That is, I mean, cool but weird. Like, well, as in weird from my perspective. That sort of, huh. And how different are the 2? Is it just slight variations? Is one much more complex in terms of like the amount of stuff that's in the language? Presumably the grammatical rules are the same. It's just some variations in the words and things. I don't know. Yeah, 100 years ago the difference was very big, and then presumably just travel, apart from anything else. Travel, like the availability of travel and globalization, that kind of stuff. Oh, we've got a champion spider somewhere. I kind of can't resist. I want to go find a champion spider. Ruffle, you might have to look away for like 2 minutes. Fair warning, I want to go find that baby. Where did I put my horse? That's if the guards don't kill it before I even get there. Can we follow the sounds of fighting? It sounds like it's over this end. Am I getting closer to or further away from the fighting sounds? I'm not sure, It's not over this end. Is it up here? Where are the guards fighting a champ spider? Not over there. Oh yes, up there. Oh, crap, they've almost got it as well. I'm going to kill it before I get there. But that's okay, because I'm going to grab its corpse, leave it somewhere for Calvert, and hope that he finds it in-game before he manages to make his way to the end of watching this stream on catch-up. Where can I put it? I'm glad to see that my sapphic nymphs are still in place. You can look at them, you just don't like them sneaking up on you. Fair enough, fair enough. And they've just killed it. So now you're allowed to use the same words in both versions. So the new Norwegian, so you're saying the new Norwegian was created, like, what, a century ago? Or even longer ago than that? Bloody hell. That champ spider took a lot out of that Spirit Templar. Can I save the Spirit Templar from this lava spider? Probably. Gonna have to look it up. It's like that clip from Harpy. Locals talking mumbly mumbly. Yeah. I mean, obviously England has got a lot of, I say obvious, it's not necessarily obvious to anybody who doesn't know England all that well. England has an awful lot of regional dialects, but also the UK has several other languages, which parts of have been blended into, have blended into over time, into English. Oh, look, even his bad wound is healing. You can't treat it to wound, it's not physical. But I want to. Regional dialects in Norway even worse. I can believe it. Yeah, so over here we've got regional dialects all across the UK, but then you've also got the sort of the Celtic languages. You know, you've got Scots and you've got Welsh, Cornish, Manx, which is Isle of Man. There we go. There's my sapphic nymphs. Look at them, just loving life. I picked up its corpse, right? Yes, I did. And bits of those languages. I'm sure there's another. I don't mean the Irish as well. But sort of pieces of those languages that then kind of get absorbed into English, and regional variations within those languages as well, and all sorts. Where has he put his cart? Is it down by the coast? Has he parked it by the workshop? Where do his cart be? I feel like... There it is, there it is. Don't think I can safely nest that. Clearly I'm not going to be able to jump scare him with it, so maybe instead I shall just fill him with a visceral horror. Alas, it is not quite big enough to hide his cart entirely in, but it's pretty close. Fill myself with a visceral horror. Anyway, as I was, back again. 4,000 kilometers long. How much of Norway, roughly, is populated? Because Norway is a lot of mountain, right? And I assume that most... You've probably got a lot of kind of... Oh God, look, I haven't eaten or drunk in ages. Whoops. Well, I imagine there's probably quite a lot of, like, smaller, like, towns, villages and settlements and things kind of in the more mountainous regions. I imagine the vast majority of your population's on the low-lying land. So, you know what, my geography is terrible, though, so if I'm talking out of my arse, please do correct me. My world geography is so poor. It's something I'm actually quite self-conscious about. one of my great frustrations with the British education system is all the things we learn in school, world geography and world history, are not really one of them. Like, I feel like we should be taught those much more comprehensively at school and not just as a specialist subject. Because the kind of stuff that we cover in geography and history is so sort of potted, we don't really get a good sense of the bigger picture, and I feel like we should all be leaving school with a much better sense of the bigger picture. Right, what was I here doing? What was I? Oh, I was eating and drinking, wasn't I? Let's do that. Oh no, I ran out of food. Is there any food left in the oven? Pretty sure Calvert cooked the other day, but I don't know if we ate it all. We ate it all. Maybe I shall cook myself something up quickly. 5.5 million inhabitants. Ooh. You have 10,000 bramble eggs, Mimas. Well, clearly I've not made anything compelling enough for you to spend them on. I shall, I do need to add some more things to channel points, in fairness. I threw a whole bunch of things up in there to sort of see what stuck. And I've had a really busy few weeks, so I haven't had any time to go and do anything other than, like, the bare minimum stream prep. But hopefully, with a little bit more time, coming up as we approach Easter, when work should quieten down a little bit for me, I'm going to go and then have a look at actually what works.
Yes.
What I can add some extra stuff into, flesh out the channel points a little bit. Maybe take some down that aren't really capturing people's imagination, put some others up. See, now my problem with cooking for Calvert is I've filled this with high quality meats. But my botany and my foraging is not anywhere near as high. So we have a shortage of quality 70 plus vegetables, and I often end up having to use poorer quality. Do peas count as vegetables? I'm pretty sure they count as seeds in terms of cooking meals. Have we actually now used up all of our 70 plus veg? I think we have, you know. Oh, it's going to be so low quality for me. 63, 64, 65, what's the highest? I need to bring some high quality veg over here. It pains me. Good night, Mimas. I'll see you next week. What's the best we've got? And cabbage at quality 66. I mean, let's have some taters. Taters, some carrots, some onions, and some corn, that'll do. It's just not going to be very good quality, but I'm just going to have to live with it. And of course, I'm not carrying kindling anymore, as I observed earlier. So let's grab some of that. I tell you what would be nice about breaking these pantries down into bits is less scrolling, which won't apply to the BSBs, of course, but... carrying so much crap right now. Okay, so let's start that warming up. We have indeed got 2 frying pans. Am I carrying? I'm almost certainly carrying my fancy knife. Not in that one, I'm not. Fancy knife. Fancy knife. There we go. Apparently you can't batch chop multiple different things. Oh, no, you can! Okay. Insufficient materials. What was that for? Oh, that was the meat. Really? $1848-ish. It's when the crazy guy most children at school hate. So why do people not like it? Because they don't like learning about it, or because in retrospect people don't like that it was done Right, one of those. One of those. Because you have to learn 2 ways of speaking and writing in Norwegian. So do you have to learn both of them as part of your main school education then? It's the expectation that everybody knows both. You get exams in both. Woof. Right. Bear with me. I'm going to brave another one. You're fine. I'm glad you're enjoying it.
Whoops. Nobody saw that, right?
No clipping. No clipping. Oh my god. The worst has passed. All good. I don't think I mentioned wanting a rare Grimbleet. I have 2 rare Grimbleets. Although I don't know what I've done with my second one. One of mine's definitely on display at Brambleheim. I can't remember if I put the other one up for sale in Little Venice or if I just put it on a surface somewhere else. Should probably figure out where that went. There we go. Right. Let's eat some food. Prospecting, eh? Nom, 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 nom. And I will leave the other one for Calvert. Pop that one in my picnic basket. Now, what was I doing? Ah, yes, before I ran off to collect that corpse, I was decorating another one of these. So let's nest another one of those over the top. Like that. Let's put some more of this tat on it. No, not a flower pot. Don't want a flower pot. I thought I had... Oh, I've already put the jar somewhere else. Maybe the jar can go on this one. What I haven't done is put anything... Whoops. Misclicked. What I haven't done is put anything on the top of these shelves, which I could yet do. Like, for example, the second cheese drill. So you can either use a vehicle or you can just go into third person to place stuff on top of these things. If you're somebody who's not in the habit of decorating the top layers. Is that going to go up into the roof? No, it's not. That's okay. And while we're here, I suppose the grindstone could go up here as well, because those are rather large. But it might actually be a bit too large for this. Is that just going to poke out through the hole? It might do. Poke out through the wall, even. Ooh. It does not. It does overhang, though. Me. Oh, I'll live with it. I'll live with it. That no clipping is a good candidate. What else have I got? What else have I got? Another measuring jug. Why not? How about here? Okay, I'm gonna have to move the shelf to do that one. About there, I reckon. Look at that. Perfect. Perfect. And then my trellis. Just gonna go behind. Like, oh, do I also need to line this one up with the window? Yeah, I think I probably kind of do. So, oh, this is going to be a little bit tricksy to do without accidentally placing it on the shelf. We're going to have to actually move the shelf. Oh, no, 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 no. That might do it. Ha! She says, ha. But, oh well, that'll do. I think actually this window's now probably going to look a little bit messy from the outside, but I still like that you can kind of see bits through it, and actually with the trellises behind it as well, it's not so bad. It's a little bit of a shame that these line up slightly differently with the windows, so in order to line it up with this one, I have to bugger up this one, but oh well, can't be helped. And then let's secure that one, secure the planter rack, and secure the empty shelf. There we go. So we've got a slightly nice looking corner. I kind of almost want to put them in front as well, but I think that actually would create more problems than it solves. And I've just remembered I'm still carrying around those torches in my inventory, so let's actually place these down. Which direction do you face? Like that. Now, how about if I tuck you? You have to move just a... Oh, it pokes out the top though. That's annoying. Is that going to be annoying enough for me to not use those here? I think it might be. Yeah. Because the ones that I usually use are like brass hanging lamps. I don't think they poke out the top, or if they do, it doesn't bother me anywhere near as much. But that one clearly is going to bother me, so no, clearly you can't go there. But I feel like we should put some lighting in here somewhere, so maybe I will tuck some into the walls for now instead. And try not to lose it actually in the wall, she says. Oh, what do you mean I can't push it into the wall? Okay, so this right here, this is the other trouble with wooden walls. Because they are so thin, they are also harder to nest lamps into the walls so that you actually hide them. And sometimes, there you go, it's actually done it okay there, but sometimes you'll find that it tries to stop you when you've still only got a sliver left. And if it does that, the way to do it is to go at a really kind of shallow angle to try and push it the last little bit. Now, can I pull this slightly without dropping it off the platform? That's better. Look at that. Magnificent. That's when I find it's got no fuel. It does have fuel! Super. Let's have one on the opposite wall just over here as well. Just for nice even light. Drop, 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 drop. No, no. Thank you. I'm clearly not getting to the kitchen tonight, though. Can you keybind the push and pull gently? Does anybody know? Never actually tried. Or maybe I have tried and you can't, and that's why I haven't. I never know. Yes, you can. Excellent. I must remember to do that. Because I use them all the time. Just all the time. There we go. Perfectly lined up. Did I skewer the other one? I feel like I must have. Wouldn't have let me light it otherwise, would it? All right. So we've got torch lamps, we've got our pantry wall, we've got a little bit of visual interest in this corner. I feel like we probably do want at least one more BSB on that wall, but I don't know that I've got one here. You know what? I did have a spare BSB, and I disregarded it because it was the wrong colour. But I kind of want a third BSB there, because breaking it down into 2 lots of quality is not going to be sufficient for me. Kind of almost want to put one of the pumpkins in there. I might put a blimey pumpkin in there. It's going to decay eventually, but, you know, whatever. Did I drop it up here, or did I drop it downstairs? Ooh, we have got a cedarwood one. Has it actually got... Oh, no, it's actually got furniture materials in. Damn it. I know I put an empty one somewhere. At least I think I did. Maybe it wasn't an empty one, though. Have all of these actually got stuff in, Calvert? Yes, they do. God. I so want to sort this shit out. Okay, that's the one that I dropped before. It's not the right colour, but it can't be helped. Hopefully it's not going to be visible enough to bother me. Let's just get rid of the name for now as well. Now, I want to do it that way. So just the bottom's peeping out. There we go. Sneaky third one tucked in there. That you can still select by just selecting the right sacks. And let me just check that that is not visible outside, but hopefully that's still safely under the bridge. It is. It is. So no visible ugliness. Excellent. Excellent. I approve. I'm going to find somewhere to pop that. And that. Clearly we're not doing anything with that corner right now. Don't think I have any need for those extra FSBs, so I might have to go and drop those somewhere. I kind of want to put planter and amphora racks sort of along here too, but actually given that he's got a special shed outside for planters, maybe there's something else that I could do with that space. But you've got your ingredients here. I think I need a little bit more kind of something. I need some decoration on this, and in fact I just picked up an amphora, didn't I? Let's just pop an amphora down there for now. Just a bit of something extra to soften off the corners. Maybe I could do with some rugs. I could pop some rugs under there. That might be nice. I suppose it's not very granary like, but And this kitchen area, I think I want this to wait for another stream, because I would quite like to change the flooring in here, but also I want to do some fancy nesting with some furniture to get some kind of like kitchen counter type things. And also I kind of want to have a play with the trouble with this being a wooden building is I can't really tuck an oven onto a flat wall. You can only kind of tuck them in corners, because if you want them on a flat wall, you've either got to have them so far forward that you then can't really nest other furniture around them without all of it being super far forward, or you tuck it back and then it sticks through the wall. And I don't think there's anything to hide it on the back. Yeah, it would really, really show sticking through that wall. So whatever I do with it, it needs to be not getting tucked into a wall. So that's going to take a little bit of careful jiggery pokery, I think. But I think it might have to live in the corner no matter what I do, which is a shame, because I was toying with the idea of, if you've got an oven flat on a wall, nesting tall enough furniture that it then becomes almost like a built-in kitchen, where you've got sort of like your oven or your Arg a bit in the middle, and then cabinets that like cut off the sides a little bit more bluntly as part of like a continuation of a kitchen thing. Might be over-engineering it there. And I do want to have a pair of ladders possibly flanking this, or possibly flanking the oven. But I quite like the notion of them flanking this door. The downside of doing that is it means I then can't have any furniture immediately here, because these would be looking onto them. It takes so little for that to be sticking out the other side. Let's just move this slightly. Is that enough, or does it need more? That's enough. Let's just push it that way as well. All good. Now, because it is like 1:30, I think I'm going to have to wrap up this stream soon-ish. But first, Thal rule, all wine barrels must be over 50 Q. Now, I'm pretty sure that is not a rule that you followed, Calvert. Just saying. I kind of want to, like, I don't know what's with the green wine, but the red wine, let's just, we don't need the red wine sign. Kitchen to be remodeled later. If I stick a sign there, it will remind me that I need to do it. Maybe. Possibly on another stream. Oh, nighttime for you as well, Bun. Yeah, it is getting late, isn't it? Right, let's pick those two up, because I like to leave things tidy. One of the nicest things about doing this has just been being able to like just tidy up the space a little bit. So I'm going to go drop these things off, come back and take a look at it. Maybe just have another quick look at the before stuff. Oh, I was going to pop a pumpkin in there, wasn't I? And then I think I'm going to be done for the night. So, and I am also still carrying a load of bits and pieces in my inventory, which I need to leave somewhere accessible in there in case any of them are needed. But those go back in my box storage bin. Power pot. Oh, actually, I'm not carrying that much tat anymore. Most of it I've managed to find places to put. Were they upstairs? They were not upstairs. Let's just... Is there going to be room to pop FSBs down there? No, I think they need to go upstairs, because downstairs is the workshop. Let's just offload these somewhere. Like... Ooh, like there, for now. Shh. There was a much better sign right there that I could have used. Visitor's Gate. Never mind. Never mind. A red sign seems more me, anyway. Let's leave the wagon there where they can graze. And for anybody else who is a European, let's take this as it's probably your bedtime too. If you stayed up all of this time, I'm about to go to bed. You should also probably go to bed. I'm going to go to bed in like 5 minutes. I'm just going to wrap this up and then I'm off. So, where can we put? God, they're rather large, aren't they? Will it fit under the stairs? It will not. It's gigantic. You can go there. They're so evil looking as well. Oh, it's out of fuel.
Hello?
And I'm carrying no tar. Thanks, Ignatius. It's 1:30 a.m. Yeah, all right, that'll do for now. Okay, so roasting dish. Roasting dish can go in there. Let's pop the fruit press down there for now. Maybe I should have put the fruit press up on top of a shelf. Never mind. And we've got a random pottery flower pot, and I've just gone and put my flowers down, so not going to get to plant that right now, but that can just live there for now. Okay, so that's where we are at the end of this stream. So not quite done decorating this space. Need to do something here. And then I've got the whole kitchen area over here, which I probably want to change a little bit of the flooring in and do some other stuff. But I do think that this is much improved, even just by having this mezzanine, by having this kind of open space. Still in two minds about this one here. I don't like coming in with a lip directly above, but yeah, I can live with it. So that's where we are at. And just for anybody who wasn't there with us right at the beginning of the stream, where's my before? There's my before. So this one on the left is before we knocked all of those extra ceilings out. And then the one on the right is the sort of the upstairs space with all those barrel racks. And then the one down the bottom is just sort of looking into that kitchen area, which actually we've not really done anything with. But this central area was definitely like just a mess of random BSBs and FSBs and all sorts. And it's looking a lot cleaner now, at least, even if the decorating is not yet complete. So I still think that's good. That's good. See, time well spent. Oh, and I said I was going to go and see how many skills I hadn't got today. Let's have a look, shall we? 0.005 in carpentry. 0.01 in fine carp. I got some nature skills. I got a 0.01 in gardening. I got some hammer. I got 0.001 in hammer, 0.002 in repairing. See, this is where I get all my elite skills from, guys. 0.0003 in soul depth, which must have been from the gardening. Look at that. Nothing. But look, so much nicer. Right. Whew. And that's me done with the granary for today. Numbers do go up, Ignatius, very slowly, thankfully. I'm not somebody who generally gives a crap about the numbers, so I mostly just do it to amuse myself as much as anything. Oh, what's our cooldown for today? Oh, Sanford and Sons. So you know what? Actually, whoops. Bounce back through those. Actually, I'm not going to end it quite there. I have got 60 seconds more stuff to show you because the lovely Jake Rivers built me a trebuchet today. And I kind of want to show it to you since it's just around the corner. Built it, imped it up, named it for me, aimed it at Calvert's arena, told me how to use it. I have not yet had a chance to go and have fun with it, and I'm not going to go and load it and do stuff right now. But for anybody who was watching Calvert and I catapult lit pumpkins into the desert on stream, was it last week? I feel like it must have been last week. Yeah, I think it was last week's stream with Calvert. I've now got a trebuchet to do the same with as well. So I'm just going to go show you my fancy new trebuchet that Jake built me. Through the lovely arena. Out the other side. Let's try not to run into too many vicious things. Still got pumpkins. I think that's the furthest we managed to catapult any of the pumpkins. But many of them just landed like here-ish. But there we go. So Jake has built me the Blood Sands Destroyer 2000. My fancy fine trebuchet. And then we've got our much more meagre by comparison little Lindenwood catapult over here, which is named, but the name doesn't show, I don't think. Does it show a name? Wait, rename. Yeah, there you go. Pumpkin Smasher version 1.1, but the name doesn't seem to show on catapults. I'm not quite sure why. I don't think you can load them and unload them. So maybe it's one of those ones where you can name it, but you can't actually see it. But there you go. So probably won't actually let me launch it in this direction, because as soon as we're anywhere close to being able to hit the arena, even if our skill isn't up to it, it won't actually let us fire. But you know, some fun will be had with that in future. Right, there we go. Now I'm going to go to my cooldown, which is actually Jake's market, which is what made me think of it. So I don't think we've done any Exodus markets on cooldowns yet. This one is Sanford and Sons, which is Jake Rivers' place. It is just like a stone's throw from the portal in Esert, the start town on Exodus. So if you head out to the west side from Esert, towards the great big shop sign, which you cannot miss, in front of the shop sign is Exodus Market, which is Rock Lobster's place, and behind the shop sign is Sanford and Sons, which is Jake Rivers' place, and you just look for that big kind of corkscrew slate tower and the Mulrehan God Tower, and you will find it. So I'm going to leave it there, guys. I will be around next week, back into my usual time slot, because I was a late start today and that was unusual. So I will be back in my normal time slot next week. Bun and I are going to go treasure hunting together on release and finally finish off the last of my treasure maps, maybe make a start on some of Bun's. And hopefully Calvert and I will be back streaming on Friday as well, although heaven knows what we will be doing or where. Watch this space. Thank you for coming and hanging out, and I will see some of you around and see some of you on stream next week. Take care, guys. And if you live in the EU, go to bed. Good night.